We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Let me double check actually whether my microphone is set up correct. It should be. Sometimes when I don't log in for a while, it will use my headphones as the mic. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, we have an interesting weekend of boxing coming up. Well, today, what am I talking about? Obviously, the main card this weekend is headlined by Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. Takes place in America, of course. Good fight, interesting fight. I make Crawford the favorite, far more experienced. He's been at this level for much longer, attempting to become a four-weight world champion, can box in southpaw and orthodox. Can box on the back foot, can slug it out, can counterpunch. He's shown me he's the more versatile fighter over the years. I think Madrimov is a guy who's improving. I've followed Madrimov since his first pro fight. Very early on, he was a guy who tried to do too much in there. A lot of movement, a lot of unnecessary movement, and he wasted a lot of energy in his early fights. I think he's toned that down now. He's becoming a little more seasoned. He's more selective with his movement and his punching. I still see him as a little bit too green, though, to be honest with you. I think he'll be a threat with his power, but ultimately I think Crawford wins. What's up, Jay's Boxing Universe? May have to change my Bakole over Anderson pick. Anderson looks like he's been on the ball meat lately. I never saw the weigh-in. I know Bakole was slightly lighter than his previous fight, which is good. Maybe still too heavy. Andy Ruiz was heavy as well. He was in the 270s. He was in the 270s, man, Andy Ruiz. I don't think it's to try and close the weight gap. I just think he's a fat bastard, to be honest. More than likely lazy in camp. But Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller is an interesting fight. Ruiz is far more talented, quicker hands, better punch technique, better counter puncher, puts his shots together much better as well. Technically a more precise, more correct puncher. Ruiz is more talented than Miller, but he's not fought in 2 years. He's had 2 fights in 4 years, I believe, Andy Ruiz. Something like that. Something crazy like that. He's been super inactive, whereas Miller has had some fights recently, and Miller's work rate may actually give Ruiz some trouble. His work rate may give Ruiz trouble, because Ruiz isn't the busiest guy out there, and if Miller could just be active, then he will win rounds, in my opinion. I don't understand why people are acting like this is going to be a blowout. Andy Ruiz struggled badly with Chris Arreola, like an ancient Chris Arreola, shot to bits, got dropped. He struggled with an ancient Luis Ortiz, you know. I think Miller's a live dog. I make Andy Ruiz a favorite, and I understand why people are picking him, but I don't see it as the one-sided fight a lot of people are making it out to be honest. I don't. Could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. Crawford on points 2-1 is the play for me. Good bet, yeah. To what extent is Turkey involved with Golden Boy in Top Rank? I've heard he's gonna try and work those guys together, right? Who knows? Yeah, Andy's fat as a pig. What's new, man? What's new? What's up, Chris? How you doing, bro? Hopefully you're keeping well. What's up, JD, man? How you doing? But yeah, also Martin Bakole versus Jared Anderson is a really interesting fight. When that fight was made, I was very, very keen on Bakole winning. I am second-guessing myself now. I am pleased that Bakole has lost a bit of weight since his last fight. I think he was north of 300 pounds in his last fight. Now he's in the 280s. That's going to be an interesting fight, though. That's going to be an interesting fight. Martin Bakole versus Jared Anderson. It's certainly Anderson's hardest fight so far on paper. The thing is, though, he's certainly going to be landing the more eye-catching shots, but his work rate's never been his strong suit, Andy Ruiz. That's the issue I have. And with the inactivity, you may see rounds where he just gets outworked. And as for stopping Miller, Miller's got a good chin. He was stopped by Dubois, but Dubois was really putting it on him. He was throwing a lot of punches, a lot of hard punches. I'm not convinced Ruiz is going to go in there with that sort of aggression, to be honest. I think Ruiz on points is most likely. But it's a good fight. What's up, Hawker? How would I feel about Canelo Crawford? I mean, I'll watch it, right? I'll watch it. But it's a bit of I'd rather see Canelo fight Benavidez, to tell you the truth. Yeah, the Martin and Anderson fight is very interesting. Yeah, Martin towers over Miller. Jared Anderson. I don't know who wins that one. Jared is mentally weak and Martin is a machine. Well, I actually think both of these guys have quit in them, to be honest, because we saw that with Martin Bakole against Michael Hunter. But if you watch that fight, Michael Hunter had to work very, very hard in that fight, had to take a lot of shots to gas out Bakole. So maybe Bakole's got quit in him too. I've not liked a few signs that I've seen from Anderson in the Charles Martin fight. Some of the things he said outside the ring doesn't really lead me to believe that if things get tough, he's going to stick around. So it's going to be an interesting bout. Yeah, this is the lightest he's. So Miller weighed in at 305 pounds. Last fight he was 330, and now he's in shape at 305 pounds. Apparently, he's in shape for Miller. It's crazy, but that's the lightest he's weighed in at for a long time. That's the lightest he's weighed in at since like 2018, 2019, when he was fighting guys like Thomas Adamek and Bogdan Dinu. You know. So for Miller, by Miller standards, he is in shape, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out in the ring. But I'm looking forward to that fight, man. Low-key, I'm looking forward to the heavyweight fights for most on that card. And also part of me being like the enjoyer of like freak shows, I kind of want Miller to win for the banter, to be honest. It'd be funny if he wins. Just to see like the virtue signaling tweets about Miller being a drug cheat. It'll be hilarious if he wins. Absolutely hilarious. But no, I think Fat Andy should win. I think he'll pick the better shots, you know, and win a relatively competitive decision. Is that a 10-rounder or a 12-rounder? That makes a big difference as well. Andy Ruiz. Is that a 10 or 12-rounder? That's a 12-rounder, you know. Who the fuck does that favor? Ruiz versus Miller being a 12-rounder. Who does it favor? I don't know who that favors, to be honest with you, but they're both fat as fuck. Who does that even favor? Okay, so apparently the Anderson fight, is that a 10-rounder? Oh, that's a bit of a shame. It's weird, you know. So if you look on BoxRec, so Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole. No, it's a 12-rounder. It's a 12-rounder. According to BoxRec, it's a 12-rounder. I'm also looking forward to watching Pitbull Cruz. I like Cruz. So Pitbull Cruz is fighting Jose Valenzuela. Valenzuela, you may remember him. He got robbed by Chris Colbert and knocked him out in the rematch. He also got stopped by Edwin De Los Santos. Jose Valenzuela is what you call a glass cannon. He has power. He's very aggressive, but his chin isn't great. I'd imagine he's going to meet Isaac Cruz head on. That could be a firefight. Isaac Cruz versus Valenzuela could steal the show. That's a good fight. I was picking Jared, but after seeing the size difference, I'm picking Martin now. There's something about Billy Nelson. He's a class trainer. I think he gets a lot of hate, Billy Nelson. And Martin Bakole is a guy who I've heard people talking about this guy for a long, long time. And it started with gym rumors, like him sparring people and him being very effective and very good in the gym. And I've seen signs in this guy's fights as to where I look at his skill set and he brings attributes to the table that not many heavyweights have. The negatives are he's overweight and maybe his heart is questionable. But the way his punches flow is very good to see. He's got very good punch variety. He's very comfortable up close, in the pocket, and at mid-range. He's a good body puncher for a heavyweight. Again, stylistically, I'm not saying he's as good. I'm just saying stylistically. Stylistically, he reminds me a little of Riddick Bowe. Stylistically, I'm not saying he's as good, but stylistically, he reminds me a little of Riddick Bowe. And I think he's a very talented fighter, but it's whether he's got the application to apply it. Danny Garcia versus Lara in 2024. Is that fight happening? That fight's been talked about for like the best part of a year. That fight actually happening? Oh, it is. 14th of September. Danny Garcia versus Erislandy Lara. That's on the Canelo undercard, I'm assuming, right? Oh my days. Yeah, that's on the Canelo undercard. Danny Garcia versus Erislandy Lara for a middleweight title. How old's Lara now? 41 years old. Can you imagine if Danny Garcia becomes a middleweight champ? It's a weird fight. I'm kind of into it weirdly. It's a weird fight. Yeah, you think the 12 rounds favour Miller. He's been more active than Ruiz, yeah. I don't understand why people are saying it's a one-sided fight. That's what I don't understand. I'm not saying Miller's great, but Ruiz hasn't looked good in a long, long time. And he's struggled with guys like Chris Arreola. Bear in mind, people were saying Chris Arreola was done when Stavern beat him the second time. That was 2014. You know, this is the same Chris Arreola who, like, best part of 10 years ago, was going life and death with Travis Kaufman. This guy's been shot for the best part of a decade. And Ruiz struggled with that guy. He struggled with Luis Ortiz. I don't think this is a walkover. Oh, damn, you got Valenzuela beating Cruz. I agree with Chris. I think that fight... It's a mismatch, but it's going to be an exciting mismatch because Rayo does have power. He does have power, so that's going to make it interesting. Maybe he could catch Isaac Cruz. That's his only chance. But I agree. I think Pitbull by stoppage. First half of that fight. Oh, you think Cruz is overrated as well? I like Isaac Cruz. What's up, Ganja? Okay, so they're moving the Plant fight to the Canelo undercard. Okay. Yeah, I'd imagine Lara's going to be a firm favourite, even though he's 41. It's crazy that Danny Garcia's fighting for a middleweight title. Imagine, though, if Danny Garcia becomes a middleweight champion. That would really signify how dead the middleweight division is. Because Danny Garcia's not sniffed a title in God knows how long, at any weight class. What's up, G-Man? Disturbingly Wicked, how's it going, man? Yeah, Ruiz should be favoured, but not minus 400 favourite. Yeah, if you're a betting man, if I'm a betting man, I wouldn't, like, I'd put like 10 quid on Miller. Yeah, Valenzuela has a leaky guard. Cruz is overrated, but Valenzuela is just bad. Yeah, Valenzuela's he's easily knocked out of his boxing stance, and he easily loses his shape. One thing about Isaac Cruz, and this is one thing about a boxer with good fundamentals. Isaac Cruz actually has a lot of good fundamentals. Isaac Cruz very rarely gets knocked out of his stance. He remains very compact. He actually takes care of himself quite well. He's got a good guard. And he applies, although basic, but decent pressure. Isaac Cruz is much more fundamentally sound than Valenzuela, in my opinion. Ruiz Joshua 1 is a real what if. What if Joshua never engaged? Yeah. Because that's Ruiz's wheelhouse, is punching with you. Like, he's one of the best at that in the heavyweight division. A prime Andy Ruiz punching with you is dangerous. That was his biggest. And Joshua played into it. Got caught, got stopped. Thoughts on Shigioka getting stopped? I never saw it, bro. Who was he even fighting? Who was he even fighting? I need to get back on the boxing grind. I really do. Because he was being highly touted. Oh, Pedro Taduran. Okay. I never knew that fight even happened, bro. I can't lie. I never knew that fight happened. But yeah, there's also a card in the UK today. There's also a card in the UK. Believe it or not, it's at Barnsley's football ground, Barnsley Stadium. And it's a British title fight that headlines that show. But the undercard is fucking terrible, by the way. The undercard is awful. It's a Sky Boxer card, so the undercard is crap. But the main event is Zach Chelly versus Callum Simpson for the British and Commonwealth super middleweight titles. Both of those guys are aggressive. Zach Chelly's more awkward, but he can be aggressive. Callum Simpson is a guy who is very aggressive. That's going to be a good fight at domestic level. Can't really split those two, to be honest. Callum Simpson is the hometown fighter, but it should be a good fight. It should be a good fight. Callum Simpson, I'll tell you who he reminds me of. He's like he reminds me of a poor man's David Benavidez. That's who he reminds me of. But he's got a good style. He's entertaining, but I can't see him going above like sort of British title level. My accent, I guess it's like a Luton accent. Luton tan, mate. Luton fatting tan. What's up, Matthew Martinez? Hopefully you're well. Yeah, boxing and UFC. Who's fighting in the UFC? Who's fighting in the UFC? Oh, it's Corey Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, boxer is horrible. Respectfully, that Ben Shalom dude takes the piss. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Man, he's awful promoter. I don't know how he got the job. Well, I think I do, but the less said about that, the better. Funny handshakes and all that, you know. But he's awful. Yeah, boxer is boxer is awful at promotion. Didn't even know that fight was happening until I saw it on an Instagram reel. Yeah. It's not even a bad fight, though, you know. It's a good domestic fight. It's a perfectly good domestic fight. But the undercard is awful. Like, the undercard is awful. Like, Matchroom at the end on Sky, their undercards were bad. But these boxer undercards make those Matchroom undercards look amazing, honestly. And it's kind of weird how, like, in the UK, there's so much protection, like for Ben Shalom. He's like it's like you've got to treat this guy with kid gloves. It's weird. It's so weird. Even when I criticize Ben Shalom and I make a few jokes in the video, people are really like, a lot of people get butthurt about it for some reason. Like when I say about like the Masonic shit, like, oh, what do you mean by that? Trying to say I'm like anti-Semitic and shit. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Did he get the job due to his connections, if you know what I mean? 100%, bro. Why is this guy staging face-offs in Masonic lodges? He literally did that. I think Buatsi versus Aziz, that face-off was filmed in a Masonic lodge. There you go. And exactly. So Adam Azim ducks Dalton Smith. Oh, we're gonna fight Harlem Eubank instead. Where is that fight? Where's the announcement? Where is it? It was always a worse fight, but at least announce it if that's the way you're gonna go. Months later, we're still no closer. Dalton Smith already has a fight scheduled, I think. I think Dalton Smith already has a fight scheduled, does he not? He's getting on with his career. Yeah, Dalton Smith is fighting for the European title. against John Fernandez. John Fernandez, by the way, is a puncher from Spain. Not a bad fighter. Not a bad fighter. He gave Michel Rivera a decent fight back in the day. He's not a bad fighter. So that's a good fight for Dalton Smith. He's getting on with his career. Whereas Adam Azim sidestepped Dalton Smith and he's still not got a fight booked. But yeah, his Ben Shalom's product is so watered down, soy, NPC level product. It's awful. So bad. The crowds are dead. There's only a few shows he's done that have been decent, to be honest. Like the Amir Khan Kell Brook fight, that was live just because it was Amir Khan Kell Brook. There's been a couple of cards that have been decent, like Liam Smith Eubank 1 and 2. They were pretty high profile. But aside from that, I'm really, really struggling. I'm really, really struggling. I guess on paper, the Crystal Palace card was decent. I know the main event was crap between Chris Billam-Smith and Riakporhe, but on paper, it could have been a good fight. It was a world title fight on regular Sky. On the undercard, you had Isaac Chamberlain versus Jack Massey. That was a good fight. So I guess that card was okay. But like, we're talking now in a 3-year period, we've barely had any good cards from Boxer. Barely any. I can count on one hand. Yeah, bro. I 286 Project. I don't really watch the Olympics anyway, but all that shit going down in the Olympics, I refuse to watch it, man. The opening ceremony was needlessly provocative and sick, to be honest. I'm not going to watch that shit. They hide it in plain sight. They hide it in plain sight. I don't see how you can come to any other conclusion, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's what those people are about. You know, parading around in front of kids while one of these performers has their testicle hanging out. That's what they're into. That's what they're into, you know? And I will not support it. See a lot of people crying about the Olympics, but they'll continue to watch it anyway. Just like a lot of people in this country are crying about Hugh Edwards, who is a former BBC newsreader, news presenter, who got caught with indecent images of children. I see so many people crying on Twitter about how this guy's a nonce, this guy's a nonce. Like thousands of people like talking about it, thousands of retweets, thousands of likes. How many of these people do you think still pay their TV license? Like 90%, 95%? Stop paying for it. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Ryan Hong. It's a close fight for me, bro. Zach Chelly or Callum Simpson. It's a good domestic fight. Zach Chelly is far more proven at domestic level, despite the wins and losses. Callum Simpson, however, is the A side. He's a bigger dude. I think I'm going to go Callum Simpson on points. Okay, Jalalov's in the semis. Okay, yeah. Listen, I expected Jalalov to win it, to be honest. I expect him to win it. I know Team GB are doing terrible. It's not looking good for the UK right now, honestly, in terms of like up-and-coming prospects. It's not looking that great. Moses Itauma is the only one I rate. Like, he's the only one I kind of put stock in right now, is Moses. Aside from Itauma, I'm kind of struggling with it. I'm always harsh, though, on like domestic fighters in this country, like prospects coming up. I'm always harsh. You know, I get accused of hating British fighters all the time, but I just see so many hype jobs get like proclaimed the next big thing, and usually they fall. I'm going out on a limb with Moses Itauma, but I do think there's real talent there. To be honest. Seagull, what's up, man? Yeah, hoping for an enjoyable show tonight. Me too, man. Me too. No like crooked fights, no crooked decisions. I want to see some knockouts. I want to see some good fights. Looking forward as well to seeing David Morrell make his light heavyweight debut. He's another fighter who I am very high on, David Morrell. Very high on David Morrell. I think he's a very good fighter, very good talent, entertaining as well. Why no mention of Lomachenko's shameful ducking of Tank on this channel? You would be quick to criticize anyone else. I'll tell you for why. Once Lomachenko ducks Tank for 7 years, then it's then we can equate the two. Then we can compare the two. Until then, that I don't particularly care, to be honest. I don't particularly care. When you've waited 7 years for a guy to end up as when you've waited since 2016, 2017, so 6-7 years he's waited to finally want to fight Lomachenko. Finally, after wanting to fight after 7 years, Lomachenko's 36, way past his best, and you're expecting me to criticize Lomachenko. Was you criticizing Tank for the last 6-7 years? So so basically what you're saying is you're telling me I should support a fighter aging another fighter out before he wants to take the fight. That's what you're saying. You should support a guy who's aged a guy out. That's what you're saying. So no, I'm not going to criticize Lomachenko at all. At all. There you have it. If Tank only waited a year and then this happened, totally different conversation. Totally different conversation. Yeah, we'll flame him up. But no, not after waiting 7 years, no. Yeah, I agree, man. I hate it when they mix in concerts with our boxing. Yeah, facts. Yeah, Eminem, yeah, that degenerate. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree, by the way. I think he should retire. I said time ago that I think Lomachenko is there to get cashed out. I'm picking Zepeda to beat Lomachenko. I'm picking Zepeda to beat Loma. I think he sold out a long time ago, to be honest. It's true, but two wrongs don't make a right. Loma is still a champion. Tank got lots of hate for years for ducking. World champions like Loma should unify. It's a straight duck. You can listen. If that's your opinion, and that's fair enough. And yeah, on paper, it is a duck. But at the same time, considering the timeline, considering what's went on in the past, am I really that upset about it? No. Number one reason being, I don't particularly care about Tank. I don't particularly care about Lomachenko. So yeah. Prior to this, by the way, coming out, I've been saying about Lomachenko being on the downslide. I've been saying about this guy being willing to sell out. I said on Thunderdome's channel, this guy's waiting to cash out. The guy's waiting to cash out. He's there to be bought. He's there to be brought. Just like he threw the fight maybe against Teofimo. The guy's not got that kind of intestinal fortitude that a guy like Usyk has. My predictions, for this card tonight: Crawford on points or late stoppage. Ruiz, possibly a controversial points win over Miller. David Morrell, early stoppage over Kaladzic. Anderson getting stopped by Bakole. Isaac Cruz knocking out Valenzuela within the first 6 rounds. Yeah, he still has ability to give Tank Davis trouble, but I think he'll take a dive. I think he'll take a dive against Tank, or not come to win. To be honest. That's the crazy thing. This guy coming in, he's acting like I make 10 Lomachenko videos a month. It's crazy. You guys know my favorite fighters in boxing: Beterbiev, Inoue, Usyk. I'd say Nakatani's approaching. Subriel Matias. Lomachenko's never been in my top 5 favorite fighters. Junaid Boston, I've not really seen too much of him, to be honest. I've not seen too much of him. Moses Itauma versus Manuel Charr for the WBA regular? I don't think so, man. I don't think Manuel Charr really does much for Itauma in terms of like getting experience. If I was managing Itauma, I would have him out in September against a guy like Jermaine Franklin. Then maybe in November, December against a guy like Otto Wallin. Guys who can take him rounds on paper. Yeah, bro. Yeah, Tia versus Loma was euphoric, man. Tia with asthma and foot injuries, and Loma with his shoulder. What a time 2020 was. Loma was horrible that night. Yeah, facts. Facts. But that's the weird thing. Like, people have always assumed I'm like this massive Lomachenko fan. I like his skill set, don't get me wrong. Who wouldn't? Who doesn't? But I kind of put Lomachenko in the same bracket I put the Klitschko's. In the sense of, there's something about Lomachenko personally I don't like. And I've never really been able to put my finger on it. You know, sometimes it's just based on energy. He always seems like smart. I don't know, it's smarmy, but performative. I don't know what it is about Loma, but I've never been like his like biggest fan per se. I've liked watching a lot of his fights, but Itauma versus Jalalov, that'd be crazy. Yeah, that would be crazy, man. Okay, Moses versus Ali Faz. Search up Ali Faz, Top Rank's newest prospect with crazy hype. Moses would batter him, and they're the same age, kind of, yeah. What I like about Itauma, despite being 19, despite now getting a bit of hype, he comes across very level-headed. And I like that that also transpires in the ring as well. So when, like, for example, when he had Marius Vac hurt, I liked how when Vac was in the corner, you never saw Itauma crowd himself or smother himself. He took the half step back. He was prodding and probing. He was going to the body. He was changing the levels of his punching. Showed really good finishing instincts. I like what I see with Moses. And I said this way back when he fought those two journeymen, when he went the distance. Like, there was no reason to be concerned. But those guys were tough. Those guys were durable. And he needs more durable guys. He needs more durable guys. I think a guy like Jermaine Franklin in a 10-rounder could be ideal, to be honest. Yeah, Itauma versus Itauma versus Fisher for fun. Fisher knows he's not ready, yeah. Hearn is a good promoter, but puts his foot in his mouth too much, yeah. See, I think when Johnny Fisher speaks about himself, he actually comes across quite realistic. I think he knows his limitations. I think he knows he needs time. But Eddie's his promoter, and we know how Eddie operates. But Johnny Fisher seems like a nice kid, but he'll get destroyed, I think, by Itauma. I think he'll get destroyed. And you guys know I'm harsh on like UK fighters and prospects, but I do like Moses. I do like him. It took me a while, but I've seen the guy fight. I know some of his fights have been knockover jobs, but I like what I see. Ali Feliz is a very good heavyweight prospect. Okay. I need to see this guy. Feliz is good. He stops Moses easily. Are you serious? Ali Feliz. Where's he from, by the way? Is he American? He's a year older than Moses. Okay, interesting. He's 6'2" as well. Okay, so Moses is 6'3". Have you noticed that a lot of like promising heavyweights now are like getting a little bit shorter? Like, I think the best heavyweight prospect is Moses, to be honest, but yeah, Frank Warren, if he wants Itauma versus Fisher, all he needs to do is ask Turkey. Frank is Turkey's guy, and Eddie will have no way of getting around it. Yeah, facts. I mean, that fight makes sense for Moses in terms of like building his profile because a lot of people know who Johnny Fisher is. So in terms of building profile, that's a good fight for Moses. If we're talking though, from like a pure matchmaking perspective and getting fights to where Moses will learn, I would go Jermaine Franklin, then Otto Wallin, personally. I think those fights make sense for him. But even Johnny Fisher, I don't think Johnny Fisher is great, but at least it will give Moses like the big fight feel. It'll get him that experience. I thought Moses was 6'3", to be honest. He does look taller than 6'3". He's listed. I think he's listed as 6'3", but he looks taller. He looks taller. Lenny Apero, yeah, that'd be a good fight. See, that's a great point, Adair Pennant, or Adari Pennant. Have you noticed how like barely in the heavyweight division we rarely see prospects fight each other? We rarely see prospects fight each other or up-and-comers fight each other. They're usually carefully matched until they get a title fight. So if you look in the last 10 years, what prospect fights have we had in the heavyweight division? Or up-and-coming or like up-and-coming contender fights have we had? We had Joshua versus Dillian White. I guess you'll put Dubois Joyce in there. What else have we had? I guess Dubois Gorman to a lower level. There's not many though. There's really not many. I can't think of any more. So like, let's say for example, the fight with Martin Bakole never happened for Anderson. Like there's no calling in America for Richard Torres versus Jared Anderson. Fights like that is what I'm talking about. What's up, Thomas? How you doing, man? But yeah, I think if you're managing Moses Itauma, I think I would go Jermaine Franklin next, to be honest. I think that's the fight I'd make for him. A guy who can go rounds. Maybe a guy like Kevin Lorena, maybe. But I'd rather see someone like Jermaine Franklin, a guy who we know is durable. I don't think even a fight like against a guy like Stephen Shaw right now wouldn't be terrible for Moses. I've been playing Fallout. I've never played Fallout, by the way. All I'm playing right now is DayZ on PC. That's all I'm playing, bro. Pretty much. I was looking forward to that Kazakh-style guy who couldn't make weight versus that Russian-Australian. Yeah, you mean Yanibek. Yanibek's another one I'm losing patience with rapidly. I know it's not his. I know it's not all his own fault, but I'm losing patience. He looks very talented, but I'm losing patience. I've not seen much of Lazizbek, to be honest. He's the Uzbekistanian, right? I've not seen too much of him. I know he's not fought in a minute though. In a pro ring anyway. He's not fought in a while. He's in the Olympics. But yeah, he's definitely a good prospect. Love the DayZ streams. Oh, do you follow on Twitch? Nice, man. Nice. I'm not very good at it, mind. I'm not very good at it, but I do like myself a bit of Daisy. I do like myself a bit of Daisy. Shushu Carrington fights in NYC, world title next year. Do you think he'd give Inoue a good fight? I think he beats Inoue. Damn, that's a hell of a statement. I need to I need to see him in there with like genuine sort of top 10 level guys. On paper, though, like from what he's shown so far, he's looked good. He's taken care of the opposition that he's meant to, but he's not had that fight yet that really is for test or he's not had that fight yet on paper where it's for test. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But right now, I pick Inoue. There's two Perros, right? There's Daniel Perro and there's Lenia Perro. Who was the guy who beat Victor Vickhurst? Was that Lenia? Dual sword. Okay. I know you. Oh, yeah, dual sword. But yeah, thank you for following on Twitch as well, man. By the way, guys, if you guys do like follow Twitch or have Twitch, my gaming / fucking streaming shit is there. I just linked it in the chat. Have my real name on this for job applications. Oh, damn, nice. Bruh, nah, man. That Canelo Berlanga fight is awful. Like Berlanga is so poor. So poor. But listen, man, he's made the money. He's got the fight. He's got that big payout. So I guess fair play to him. He's got like life-changing money without fighting anybody, to be honest. So fair play to him. Fair play to his team for like hyping him up and getting him out there. Fair play to him. But I've had my job for months, but might rebrand. Okay. But yeah, Canelo versus Berlanga, I'm not really into. Bro. Nothing would surprise me in 2024, mate. Brian, nothing would surprise me. Again, I refuse to watch it. I refuse to support it. I refuse to watch it, and I think that's the main thing. Just don't watch it. Like make the numbers the lowest they've ever been. Fuck that shit. Garbage. Do you think Opetaia is overrated after his last performance? I don't think so, Al. I don't think so. Briedis, despite being past his best, is still a very good fighter. Very good fighter, very good cruiserweight. And I still think he'd beat most cruiserweights, to be honest. I still think he'd knock out most cruiserweights. And I think, I just think a lot of people have always underrated Briedis and how good he is. So no, I don't think he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. P-Volve Executioner, what's up? Sagawa versus Ruben Villa. No, I didn't, but I saw the highlights. I didn't see the full fight. I was expecting Ruben Villa to win because Ruben Villa, a few years ago, put up a really good effort against Navarrete. Lost the fight, but done well. This was when Navarrete was looking good. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Bivol a beast. I agree. He's still durable as hell. Got a great chin, big puncher, very crafty, very experienced. I understand why Opetaia was more cautious in that second fight, considering what happened in the first fight. He broke Opetaia's jaw in 2 places and hurt him. So yeah, I understand why he was cautious in the rematch. I understand. Ove Hernandez. Yeah, exactly. Berlanga is just a one-dimensional fighter. He just relies on power. Berlanga is another Deontay Wilder in the super middleweight division. Yeah, he reminds me, bro, of like a domestic level fighter out here that's been well marketed. That's all he is. That's all he is. And again, fair play to the guy for securing the bag, securing the payday. Fair play to him, but yeah, I don't think he's great at all. At all. Moses Itauma versus Jaya Pataya. Yeah, that too early, but maybe in the future. That's another thing. It's all kicking off in the UK, isn't it? These riots. This was always going to happen, though. You know, when there's a two-tier policing system in this country, it's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. This was always on the cards, in my opinion. And so it's weird. I'm kind of conflated on it. I'm kind of conflicted because I'll never call out a working class person for fighting for what they believe in. Because, as I said, there is a two-tier police system in this country, so I'll never call those guys out at all. And they have real concerns that have not been heard. Having said that, I think this could be a bigger picture plan to get like facial recognition and things like that implemented. Because governments always take advantage over unrest and crisis. And I think that's what's going to that could happen here. You know, like things like facial recognition and shit like that. That could happen here in this situation. But yeah, in regards to the riots and protests, this was always going to happen. You've not listened to this community forever. And now it's coming home to roost. Now it's coming home to roost. So I'm really conflicted on it because, for one, I come from a working class background, unashamedly, and there is a two-tier policing system in this country. That's just the reality. So I'll never call those guys out who are out there protesting and rioting. I won't call it out. Because who called out the Leeds riot? Nobody. Did Keir Starmer come out and address it? No. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as far as I'm concerned. And I'll never hear like that shit about, you know, people in this country is discriminatory. It is against working class people. That's it. Berlanga to produce a Teofimo versus Loma performance. You'll all see. Listen, I respect the enthusiasm, and listen, I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. I hope Berlanga shocks me. I really do. I just don't see it. I don't even think Canelo needs his usual like stipulations in this fight, to be honest. Yeah, it's going to be used to push 5-minute cities, new control laws, etc. Yeah. The Southgate Monster was in a BBC Doctor Who Children in Need sketch in 2018. This story is breaking right now. Yeah, I saw that on socials. It's similar to like the Trump shooter. He was in a BlackRock commercial. It's funny, isn't it? It's weird. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. It's crazy. Two-tier policing system means basically they treat the working class in this country. So let's say the working class riot in this country or protest, police come down on them with severity. Anybody else protests, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. But there's always been, listen, this country's always, there's always been disdain for the working class in this country. And the worst people are the apathetic middle class. You know, these wankers, these champagne socialists on Twitter condemning these people, you know, showing more vitriol for these people than the guy who stabbed these little girls. That's what's wrong with this country. But the middle class in this country are wretched. Absolutely wretched. Apathetic. I don't think they're even apathetic. I think that's too kind because they're taking a side. So fuck them. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same, Raphael. Sorry, Ralph, sorry. I feel the same. Rooting for Berlanga, but yeah, he lacks the experience, indeed. Indeed. Yeah, the London Liberals, not just London, but like outside where I grew up, there were so many of these types. But yeah, and listen, we're in a weird situation now in the UK. We're in a weird situation. But I think it's the same way across like a lot of the West right now. It seems very, very divided. And maybe I'm playing into it. I'm out here saying fuck the working class, fuck the police. Maybe I'm playing into it, but when you see your community get taken advantage of and demonized ever since I've been old enough to realize, like, how can I demonize these people who are doing what they're doing? How can I? When I've seen riots in this country before committed by other people, and those riots don't get condemned the same way. This is just facts. It's just facts. They don't get demonized the same way. They don't get treated the same way. Maybe if they did, I'd have a different opinion. But that's just the reality. That's a great fight. Yeah, Itauma versus Anderson. Yeah, that'd be a very good fight, especially in like a year's time or so. Yeah, at least in America, though, Chris, you have certain states that like are still pretty chill. Whereas the UK, I feel like it's a massive powder keg. Like what's going on right now with these riots? Obviously, it's always bad when you see riots, but I feel like it can get a lot worse from here. To be honest with you, I feel like it can get a lot worse. Yeah, the homeless here in this. Yeah, I mean, this country's got a homeless problem. Like Al said, yeah, homeless. There's a housing crisis. There's a school placement crisis. The NHS is under strain because it can't deal with the amount of people that are in this country. Plus, it's underfunded. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it's much more. Listen, you're much more. It's you feel much more comfortable when you just bury your head in the sand and don't say anything about it. But when you do say something about it, you'll be branded like, oh, you're far right, you're far right, you're far right. It's just scare tactics. I think that's lost all of its meaning now. I think a lot of people now don't care whether they are branded that. A lot of people don't care anymore. I don't care. I certainly don't care. Because ultimately, I know what I am in my heart. I don't give a fuck what people think. I really don't. I really don't. If somebody wants to assimilate here, they have skills, they fill a position that's vacant, and there's not the workforce for it in this country, there's no problem with that. Controlled immigration, if we had controlled immigration from the start, there's no issue. From me, there's no issue. But yeah, just letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry in, you're going to let bad apples in. That's just the reality. It's just common sense. And it's not even people who are necessarily bad people. We have to go a step further. Because even people who come over here, who have zero skills, who can't speak the language, they shouldn't be here. That's a reality. Let's just be honest about it. Let's just be honest. If they're coming here with like a serious set of skills and maybe they can't speak the language, that's different. But come on, man. Are we... It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, bro, Henry. It's a good main event, but the undercard is terrible. The undercard is terrible. The undercard is awful, but the main event is good. I'll watch the main event. Where's Henry? I think I missed Henry. I can't see Henry on my Oh no, I've got Henry marked up. Shit, my bad. Yeah, I'm in Sydney, Australia. Definitely been a strange time since the COVID insanity, but also not as bad as other places in the West. think we're heading in the wrong direction, though, unfortunately. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've always had this feeling, though. I've always had this feeling it's going to kick off in Europe first. Yeah, that's another thing. Have you noticed on social media, a lot of people are blaming these riots on the EDL? The EDL haven't been a thing since like 2013. They've long since gone. They've long since gone. Yeah. And also just the cost of living out here, housing, rent, everything is so expensive out here as well. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Public services are terrible. It doesn't work anymore. Transport, the roads don't work anymore. Hospitals, NHS doesn't work anymore. Schooling system is failing in real time. Everything in this country is fucking broken. Aside from the tax man. That, bro. That's another thing. If I had my time back, so let's say 2020 onwards, I made more money out of work than I thought I ever would. Nothing crazy, but like decent money for a few years. If I had my time back, I would not pay a penny in tax, and I'll try and get away with it because that really opened my eyes. A couple of years where I did like pretty well, like better than I thought I'd ever do. You realize how like the tax man and how the tax system in this country really does make it hard for you to get out of a certain situation. And I wish I never paid it. I wish I never paid tax. I'm full-time employed, so my employer takes care of that tax. But the money I made outside of work, I wish I never paid any tax. I wish I never paid any. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I work for the tax man, and that's very, very broken. Yeah, 100%, 100%, Thomas. I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, New Labour, 1997 with Tony Blair. Yeah, but it goes to show though, like the Conservatives were just a continuation of that. Really, they were just a continuation. We've basically had the same government since 1997, pretty much. Okay, there's a major fraud problem in this country that nobody's talking about. Okay, interesting. Elaborate. Major agent fraud problem in this country that nobody talks about. Yeah, bro, have you seen Ryan Garcia recently? He's going mad. He's going mad on socials. Bro, is this guy going to fight again or what? But yeah, Ryan Garcia's gone off on a deep end. The thing is, though, I don't think that really helps people when people go crazy with it like that. I think that just undermines like people's concerns when you see like prominent people like Ryan Garcia like really go off on the deep end. But yeah, we're bro. The world feels like the world feels kind of fucked right now, does it not? Hence why we watch boxing to keep our minds off a bit. Hence why we watch boxing. Okay, I'll get you, Thomas. Yeah. I get you. But yeah, I mean, listen. If I had, as I said, if I had my time back and I started again from 2020, I wouldn't declare anything I earned outside of work. I'd just risk it. Okay, so yeah, essentially tax agents like refund companies send letters en masse, and there's a ban list, but this gets overlooked. All it takes is an info leak, and any refund you ever get off HMRC has a chance to be sent to this agent instead of the individual. I see this shit multiple times a day. Oh my god, that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Certainly not surprised. Interesting. Makes you wonder, man. Probably we should have all been scammers for a living. We should have all been scammers. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. You're not going to get anywhere being a law-abiding citizen. Swear to God. I swear to God. Bro, it's crazy. That's another fucked up thing though in this country. If you dodge tax, you're gonna serve time. Like real time as well, like a chunk. But if you fucking punch somebody's head in, beat them half to death, you're okay. You're bueno. Yeah, that's how I am these days, Al. So like, I think when you're young, like you're always more compassionate, I guess. I kind of grew out of that very quick. I think I'm still compassionate, but you kind of grow out of that. Like you're naively compassionate, is what I'd say when you're young. I grew out of that. I kind of grew out of that quick. I guess then I drifted to the right. Then I realized the right are a bunch of like shills mostly and like charlatans. Um, so yeah, right now, man, I'm just a guy with opinions, man. I don't adhere to any side. I don't believe that there's any political movement that is going to come to save us per se or anything like that. Um, as for the working class dilemma in this country, as I said, a political party is not coming to save us at all. What the working class need before any political movement is a organized street movement, an organized protest movement. Not what we're seeing now, but like a genuinely organized movement, like a subculture almost, is what we need. The working class. Yeah, that's another thing a lot of people aren't talking about. The number of people leaving the UK will increase significantly the next few years. Yeah, it's called the brain drain. And that's been happening for a while now. And like you said, it's only going to get worse. Exactly. Yeah, no government cares. Yeah, 100%. 100%. All of these guys are bought and paid for, and they sell out to these NGOs and mega corporations. It is what it is. And even like beyond politics in this country, beyond the actual parties, the whole system is broken. The whole first past the post system is a joke. It's an absolute joke. You know, when you look at the popular vote in this country in the last election, the one just gone, so Reform got something like more than 500,000 more votes than the Lib Dems. But due to how like the constituencies work out here, Reform only got like 5 seats, I believe. Whereas Lib Dems got what, 60, 70, despite getting 500,000 votes less across the country. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's the political. It's not about the parties even. Like the whole system is broken out here. It's because they don't want like an organic movement, like an organic party, to really take hold and maybe actually cause a ruckus. They don't want that. Hence why the system is what it is. So democracy is fake. It's not really real. It's It's simulated democracy. That's what it is. It's simulated democracy. Because the system as it is only allows two parties to be in power. That's how they want it. If you actually watch like the Commons debates, etc., the Conservatives and Labour are actually very close on most issues. What they divert on is like the, I guess it's like the cultural issues to a degree, but every other issue they're pretty much the same on. They're basically the same party. The Conservatives now are just Labour circa 20 years ago. They're not Conservatives at all. They're centre-left. There's no such thing as a right-wing party in the UK. No such thing. Yeah, Team G. Yeah, it's crap. They're bad. Yeah, exactly, Brandon. They're bad. There's that Richardson kid who's doing okay, but aside from him, yeah, the people of the UK just have to stop voting for the opposition out of protest of the current government. People can't vote Labour knowing they're worse and then complain about them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's a great way to put it. Yeah, voting is a ritual used to trick people into thinking that they are free. Yeah. Tricks people into believing the myth of democracy. Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's another crazy thing, Grant. Yeah. I'm not going to touch America. Ultimately, I'm not American. So I don't particularly understand how the system works out there as much. So I'll refrain, but yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's the same over here across the pond. Republicans are basically Democrats from 2012. Yeah, exactly. That's how it always is. That's how it's been. That's how it's been for a minute. That's how it's been for a minute. I got no idea, Chris, man. I've got no idea, to be honest with you. Like, I actually don't know. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. If you asked me that, so if you asked me who would be the next president a day after Trump got shot at, I'd say Trump. But now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Yeah, exactly. Richardson is more than likely going to be Josh Kelly 2.0, given how the current state of British boxing is. Yeah, man. I've been saying this for a while now about British boxing. The bubble is going to burst. We've got Fury, who's on his last legs, Joshua on his last legs. Those guys are going to go, and I don't really see the talent there. I rate Moses Itauma. That's about it, though. Like I think Dalton Smith maybe could snag a title if one becomes vacant, something like that. You can see like guys winning vacant titles or winning titles against like lesser guys, but I don't see the next big thing in the UK. The only one I can put any stock in really is Itauma, and that's going out on a limb, by the way, because he's still so very young. He could come falling down very quickly, but he's the only one that impresses me somewhat. Yeah. Yeah, I can see the UK entering a dark era with Joshua and Fury gone. Yeah, similar to Germany currently. Yeah. I don't think it'll get that bad, but yeah, I know what you're saying. So prior to like so kind of like the early 2010s, like late 2000s, early 2010s, we basically only had David Haye. And that was a dark era. I could see the era becoming like that. I could see the era becoming like that. We had like Carl Froch and David Haye, and that was it. But yeah, UK right now, maybe there's going to be some prospects coming up that we haven't heard of, like who never went to the Olympics, and yeah, maybe there'll be some guys there, but I don't know. I don't know. Aside from like Itauma, I don't see where the talent's at. Like I think Dalton Smith's okay, like I said. I think Dalton Smith's decent. I think there's decent fighters out here, but decent like isn't going to cut it. Like I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could really do with some new talent. Yeah. I'm not sure what's happened to our amateur system. It's got worse. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of like lost my hope with politics, to be honest with you. What's your thoughts on Jalalov? I think him competing at the Olympics is a disgrace. Yeah. Um, disgrace. I don't see the point, to be honest. I really don't see the point, Mike, because he's won a gold medal already. Winning a second isn't going to make him a household name if he wants to be a pro. It's not. But I guess in his part of the world, like winning an Olympic medal is more important than winning a world title. So it's a cultural thing to a degree. Um, Guys in that part of the world definitely value winning an Olympic gold over being a world champion. So there's that aspect, but I'm a boxing fan. I'm a pro boxing fan at the end of the day, and I'm disappointed that he hasn't kicked on as a pro. Very very disappointed. Very surprising that the powerhouses like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine aren't doing well in the Olympics. Cuba as well. Who is doing well, by the way? Or is it mixed? Is it really mixed? Who is doing? I've not been paying attention, bro. I've really not been paying attention to it. Because you can always count on the Cubans and like the Uzbekis, Kazakhs, and Ukrainians, even to a certain degree. Mainly, like in recent years, mainly the Cubans and Uzbekistanians. You can always count on those guys. Yeah, UFC cards Middle East, right? Who's? Hang on, it was Umar, wasn't it? Nurmagomedov. I don't know what time this fight starts. It'll be on TNT Sports in the UK. That'll be an interesting main event, though. Nurmagomedov and Sandhagen. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. UFC starts at 8 p.m. in this country. No, well, the prelims starts, but well, they started now. The main card starts in an hour and a half. Oh, okay. One of your brothers got to an ABA final. That's good, man. Was he ever thinking about going pro, or is he still fighting amateur? Okay, I think it's just a mix, yeah, but they aren't as dominant in the Olympics like in the past. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the last Olympics the last amateur tournament I really watched was when Jalalov knocked out Torres brutally. That was the world in like 2019, I want to say. Might have been 2019. That was the last amateur tournament I really focused on. Because that's another thing. You look at the amateurs now, like, do you see like super special talent? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as much of a hardcore as I used to be. Okay, he was going to go pro. Okay, and Joe Gallagher wanted to sign him. He probably dodged a bullet, Marcy. He probably dodged a bullet. Although Joe Gallagher, listen, Joe Gallagher, he's not as bad a trainer as a lot of people say he is, but I don't think he's like a brilliant trainer either. But yeah, probably dodged a bullet. I've got a weird feeling he'll get beat, but I'll be honest, Al, as the fights got closer, I'm kind of less confident. I'm less confident as that fight gets closer, as the hours tick by. I'm less confident. I think there is Olympic boxing today, right? Or there was. I don't know. It might have already happened. Might have already happened. I think all the fights have happened, right? No, they haven't. There's loads of fights today. Do I recognise anybody on this list? That Omari Jones kid from America, I know who that is. He's in the quarterfinal. I keep on hearing about this Jamal Harvey kid. He's American. He's in a quarterfinal. So he can medal if he wins. So there's two Americans right there, Omari Jones and Jamal Harvey. They can medal if they win their fights. Don't really recognize many fighters here, man. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. Okay, so he's called Martin Doherty. There's footage out there on YouTube somewhere. Interesting. Okay, had a fight out drinking, broke his hand, which killed his career, man. That's crazy, yeah. Bro, it's crazy. That's a shame, man. That's a shame. That's a shame. But yeah, man, that's one of those things, man. That's going to be like a regret forever. Maybe your brother's not like that, but maybe he's got over it and whatnot. But for me, man, if that happened to me, I'd never forgive myself. How many years can a man be a boxer before it starts to get detrimental? I guess the answer is like different for everybody. Honestly, people are very different. So there's been some fighters who have fought for years and years and years with like no defense, constantly getting hit, and they retire from boxing like well intact mentally. There are other fighters though who haven't sustained half the damage, but they end up a vegetable basically. Like they can't speak. So like Kyle Froch is a good example. Like Kyle Froch never had the greatest defense. He got hit a lot by big shots, but he's perfectly fine. Whereas other fighters who didn't get hit as much had less fights, less hard fights. They're fucked. I think it depends on a lot, on genetics. It depends on a lot. Howard Foster was a ref in some of his fights, I swear. I've got a friend who trains with top rank prospects out here in Brentwood. His dad is a coach for some pros too. Currently an amateur right now. Boxing is hard, man. Yeah, man. Hopefully he does well, Chris. Hopefully he does well. Hopefully he turns over, turns pro, does well. That's cool, man. Yeah. I don't know anybody decent, any boxers. The only active boxer right now who I've met, I guess, is Jordan Reynolds, who's from Luton. But I've met boxers and whatnot in the past. I trained at Matt Skelton's gym years ago. Matt Skelton being like a former sort of British heavyweight fighter. Omari Jones and Harvey are decent. I saw them at the World Amateur Tournament in 2021 with Unrivaled and this other guy, I forgot his name. Yeah, there was a boxer called Paul Burke from Preston. He's now got brain damage. Yeah, and he's in a mental home. Such a shame. Yeah, that's a brutality of boxing, though, right? That's why boxing is like the most dangerous, probably the most dangerous combat sport. I'm not sure about the numbers on like Muay Thai or kickboxing. Those sports seem like probably as dangerous as boxing, to be honest. But yeah, like boxing is far more detrimental than like MMA, for example. Like the stats back that up in terms of like fatalities and serious injuries. Boxing is far worse for you, and it's obviously why. So it's obvious as to why. But I'd assume like Muay Thai and kickboxing are as dangerous as boxing. I'd assume. Maybe not though, because they fight less rounds. Maybe not. Yeah, boxers die the most out of any combat sport in both amateur and professional level. Well, listen, man, whose son got really badly injured in a sparring session? Was it Jose Luis Castillo's son? His son got badly injured in a sparring session. I'm sure it was him. Yeah, boxing's not to be fucked with. It's not to be messed with, honestly. Like, I wish I took boxing seriously. I really do. I really do. But I never had like the, I guess, discipline for it. Because I didn't like things like the road work, like running and skipping and shit like that. I hated it. All I liked was literally punching. Like the bag work, the pads to a degree, and sparring. That's all I liked. I hated running. I hated skipping. I hated everything else around it. I hated having to like try to eat properly. Hated it all. Dwight Ritchie, I remember him. He fought somebody as well. I swear. Who did he fight? Dwight Ritchie. He fight Tim Tszyu. Could be wrong. Yeah, he did. But his last fight was Tim Tszyu. I knew I recognized the name. Yeah, sad, man. Boxing's a brutal sport. Yeah, Patrick Day. Yeah, man, that was nasty. Charles Conwell. Yep. Yeah, he was from Long Island, where I live. When he died, it was heartbreaking. His funeral was open to the public to attend. Yeah. So Dwight Ritchie died from a body shot. Jesus. Yeah, that was against Edward Gutnecht. Yeah. George Groves. Yeah, he fought Edward Gutnecht. Yeah. There was the other guy who Mike Perez fought, Magomed Abdusalamov. Abdusalamov, yeah, because he got fucked up badly. Yeah, anyone who sparred knows how tough boxing really is. Yeah, because my first ever sparring session. What I realized, it wasn't so much getting hit. It was like the fact that I could I could run pretty well. I could run a good distance without gassing. I could shadow box without gassing. I could hit the bag pretty well without gassing too much, pads, etc. When you're sparring though, bro, that gas leaves you fucking quick. And that's what really took me aback was the energy management. And I remember when I first sparred, I could not believe that somebody could do this for 12 rounds. Could not believe it. 12 rounds of that. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's maybe the anxiety of fighting like gasses you out quicker. Like constantly being alert and being hypersensitive to what's coming at you. I think that's what tires you out. Yeah, he was a decent fighter as well, Patrick Day. He was a good sort of domestic level fighter. Okay, so yeah, he got hit in the heart. Like the NFL player, same condition, I believe. Comatio It rings a bell, Jay. It rings a bell. Yeah, being hit repeatedly is disorienting, yeah. But weirdly, when I was sparring, so I got dropped a couple of times with body shots. I never got dropped with a headshot. But there was one time I sparred this fucking little Polish kid. Tough guy, like good kid as well, like really, really nice guy. But I sparred this Polish guy. I think we done like 4 rounds, maybe that was it. And he was like just short and like not even stocky, but a strong guy. And after that sparring session, it was a tough spar, but I never thought anything of it. When I was like driving home though, bro, the lights on the road were like piercing my fucking eyes into my brain. I swear to God, any light, like, so any sort of light was like it went through my eyes and was stabbing into my brain. That's how I can describe it. So he must have gave me some fucking concussion or something. Like, bro, my eyes, I was sensitive to light for like the next day. I would retire after a year if I was a big time fighter. A mil would be enough. Yeah, it's so demoralizing, but for some reason there's something inside us that won't quit. Yeah. But yeah, that's the only time where, like, I guess I've truly realized, like, I guess the dangers of boxing was when I was like driving home that day after sparring, and like the lights like really, really hurt in my head, like so like road lights or cars coming the other way, the you know, the lights from the cars, bro. And when I got home as well, like, I just laid in bed, man. I was laid in bed because I never felt it initially, like after stopping sparring. Because I got like changed and shit in the gym. I didn't really feel like terrible or anything like that. But it's when I started driving, that's when it hit me. And yeah, like the light just that's the only way I can describe it. It's like the light penetrates your eyes into your brain, and it hurts. It's like needles. It's like needles stabbing in your brain. That's the only way I can describe it. But yeah, I was like that for about a day. It was bad in the evening. I got to sleep, and it was like it wasn't as bad the next day, but I could still feel it, kind of thing. And like staring at screens was another one for like that day. It kind of made me queasy, I guess. But yeah, even sparring, man, even sparring like has its risks. I've not sparred in forever, to be honest. Yeah, brain's still in protect mode. Yeah, I wondered if it was like a concussion, like a mild concussion, because you don't have to get knocked out to get a concussion. And the weird thing was, though, like the kid was strong. He was strong, but he never felt like he was a big puncher per se. But he hit me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of just outworked me. So I'm a lanky, gangly kind of. I had that lanky, gangly kind of style. So in the pocket it was where I always struggled, like up close. I wasn't great at fighting up close, to be honest. It's not that I couldn't get punches off. I could to a point, but defensively on the inside I was bad, like really bad. Whereas on the outside, if I'm super lanky, like I've got crazy long arms. So I'm about 6'1", and my arm length is like the same as Klitschko's. I'm not talking about reach, I'm talking about arm length. Like reach and arm length are different. But yeah, my arm length is I got monkey arms, honestly. I got monkey arms. But the problem with that, like I could only generate power from the outside, which is weird because most people are more powerful with short punches, so like hooks, uppercuts, etc., where they can turn their body weight into it, like kind of really turn into them. For me, my power shots were like the straight punches. Like I had a good jab, a decent power jab, and a decent straight. That was it. I could never really generate power with hooks or uppercuts, especially uppercuts. My uppercut was Paulie Malignaggi level, honestly. But yeah, it was mainly the straights that I could hurt people and get people's respect. But the hooks and whatnot were not my forte. Up close, crooked arm punches, not my forte. Plus, I wasn't as accurate with those shots as well. I just had bad. I guess it's just bad technique. Yeah, the fights are still like 3 hours away, I think, George. What time does the America card start? Is it a bit earlier or? Yeah, it sounds like a delayed concussion. Taking a few decent shots can be the same as taking one big shot. Yeah, I think that's what it was, Jay. Because he did punch me up a lot, I'm not going to lie. But as I said, it wasn't like he was hitting me with like massive shots. He was just a workhorse. And if somebody could get past that range, then that's when I wasn't effective. I got easy sparring partners as it at first. It made me think I was good until I got smoked for 3 rounds but off some banger. Yeah, 100%. Yep. I'm a runner. I've been running to 4 to 5 years now. Always loved boxing as a kid and always go to fights. What boxing style would suit me? I'm 5'8" and 147 pounds. That's a decent welterweight. I mean, that's your walk around weight though, 147. So you would cut down right to like fucking lightweight, I guess. You would cut down to lightweight maybe. You could probably get away with like being a longer fighter, like a longer range fighter at lightweight. Depends on how long your arms are. But that's a good height for a lightweight, to be honest. Well, if that's like Devin Haney's like 5'8", Tank's like 5'5", Loma's like what 5'6". You'd be a good mover, I guess, using the height to your advantage. Well, Bakole, Stone, he gets his opportunity now, and we'll see. I think that's a really hard fight for Anderson. I'm surprised they made that fight. I think Top Rank are starting. I think why they made that fight was Top Rank were getting a bit like frustrated with Anderson, a little impatient. You know, had a couple of bad performances. There's been a couple of like outside the ring moments where he's not really appeared the most mentally strong, I guess I'd say. I think Top Rank maybe are looking at it and saying, well, do you know what? We fed this guy the hand-picked opponents. Let's see how good he is. I think that's why they're making the fight. But I think it's a very hard fight. I really do. And it's a 12-rounder as well, apparently. So we'll see. Plus, he's getting paid well, I'd imagine, by Turkey, Al Sheikh, and Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, I got in. I running is something like I don't know. I've always struggled with it. I can do it. Like I did this last year. I hadn't run for so long, and I ran just to see how long I could run. Not even that. I just ran a little distance to see how I'd feel, and I'd done like 3 miles, and I felt okay. Oh, is it 10 rounds? I keep on seeing it's 12. According to BoxRec, it's 12. But people have told me it's 10. Maybe that's a BoxRec thing. What's up, JD? Hope Bakole pulls it off. Yeah, I like Bakole's style, Marcy. I like Bakole's style. Yeah, big up to Nordic, man. I never knew. He usually goes live Saturday, to be fair. Big up to Nordic, though, man. Need to get back on the cardio stuff, honestly. Me too, man. Me too. Jared really struggled against Charles Martin. He did. I wouldn't say he badly struggled, but he didn't look great. He got rocked a couple of times as well, from what I remember. Yeah, me and Nordic have been on the same panel a few times. If Bakole wins, it's 2 steps for him. Yeah, I think Bakole can win. I picked him to win in my official prediction. I am second guessing it now, I'll be honest. I am second guessing it now, but I picked him to win and I'm going to stick by it. I'm going to say late stoppage by Bakole. I'll be honest though, whether it's a 10 or 12 rounder does, I kind of want to know, but Charles Martin improved a lot. Yeah, improved a little bit maybe, but yeah, that could be a good opponent by the way for like Itauma. Charles Martin. If we're talking about Itauma and opponents, Charles Martin would make sense. (50-50), yeah. It's going to be a good fight. That's one of the ones I'm looking forward to most. Obviously, the main event, Ruiz Miller and Anderson versus Bakole. I've seen people say it's a bad card. I think it's a decent card. It's not like an amazing card, but compared to like a lot of shows in America, it's a good card. He could be JD. Yeah, he seemed very unsure of himself in the Chisora fight, JD. Very unsure of himself, and it looked like a confidence issue. It looked like a confidence issue, to be honest with you. But yeah, Joe Joyce now, man, is done. I think he's done. To tell you the truth. Oh, 1 second, guys. I'm just looking at something quick. Fuck. Bear with me, guys. My bad. What's up? Focus on creativity. Yeah. It's a good card. It's a good card, man. I don't care for the Eminem thing either, man. I don't care for it either. But like the card itself is decent, man. Sorry, 1 second. Tell you what, YouTube, man. I swear to God, YouTube is such a gay fucking platform. I swear to God, such a gay platform. You think they'd make things easy, wouldn't you? You'd think they'd make things easy. Okay, cool. No, don't worry. I think about it. It's okay. It's okay. Joyce versus Hellenius. I'd watch it, you know. I'd watch it, but you're right. Hellenius is still banned for PED usage. Yeah, I mean, Ruiz, whoever wins Miller versus Ruiz versus the winner of Bakole versus Anderson, I'm fine with that, Stone. I think they're all good fights. I think they're all good fights. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw the face off. Yeah, Bakole is not to be trifled with. He's not to be trifled with. Okay. Hellenius is shot, but I could genuinely see him landing some great shots on Joyce, as Joyce has zero defense. Yeah, I could as well. It'd be fun. It'll be a fun fight. But I don't know. Joyce wants to continue, as so he's saying. So we'll see what happens from here. All they've seen from Bakole, all they've seen from Bakole is the American audience that he lost to Hunter. Yeah, and it's like Hunter back then was a good fighter, man. It's not like the Hunter we have now. But you know, Bakole since then he's gone on a good little run. He's gone on a good little run since then, so he's rebounded well. And again, it's like if you actually watch that fight, like Michael Hunter had to go through a lot to win that fight. He had to really. That fight was at such a high pace. Hunter had to do a lot to win that fight. Can Anderson do that? I don't know. He took some shots. He took some big shots in that fight. Can Anderson take those same shots? We'll see. He's going to have a big, horrible heavyweight in front of him who's going to try and lean on him, who's going to try and work his body, who's going to try and put his shots together, who can punch a little bit as well. It's a hard fight, man. It's a hard fight for Anderson. Oscar Rivas, yeah. So Oscar Rivas won the Bridgerweight title, and I think he had to retire due to like a retina injury. He had an eye injury. Had to retire. Should politicians be forced to fight in the cage to the death in order to take office? It'd be good. I wouldn't complain. Yeah, 100% Stone. Yeah, Anderson is more athletic. He's quicker on his feet. He's got quicker hands. It's whether he can use that to offset Bakole. One thing he does have the advantage in is the foot speed. I think the foot speed is going to be more pivotal than the hand speed for Anderson. Would Fabio Wardley beat this version of Joyce? Possibly, honestly. Possibly. Possibly. Anderson might do the Dubois quit. I don't know, man. Neither guy really. Listen, one area where I do question Bakole is his heart because of what we saw in the Hunter fight. But Anderson's the same, man. Anderson is the same. Like, he's very unproven, man. You know, at times in the Charles Martin fight, it looked like he was feeling a little sorry for himself. He was a little gun shy. Then we've heard the claims outside the ring. He's in it for money. He wants to retire at like 31, whatever, or 30, however old he said he wanted to retire at. Is he in it for the long term? Is he in it for the glory? Or is he just in it for the money? I think both guys are very questionable in that regards, in terms of heart and staying in there in a hard fight. King G Immortal. I do like the old comments there. If you watch the Bakole Tony Yoka fight, Tony Yoka was legit running away from him. Yeah, exactly, man. He was scared. He was scared to engage. He was scared to engage with Bakole. Bakole beat the dog shit out of him, and how that fight was a majority decision is crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. Like, Bakole won basically every round, more or less. Maybe Yoka won a couple. Can you see Bakole being a world champion? No. I think he's good, but no, I don't see him being a world champ. Unless he wins a vacant title or something like that once the belts become fragmented. If he beats Anderson and gets a good ranking, maybe in a year's time. But I don't think so, personally. If he wins a title, it will be if he wins the title, I think it will be a vacant one or something like that. What's up, Larry? How you doing, bro? Yeah, Bakole fucked up Yoka. He ruined Yoka. I'll pick up Nordic, man. Yeah, I didn't know he was streaming. I wouldn't have streamed if I knew Nordic was going live. DMD, would you say Vladimir was one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight history? He's got to be up there, right? He's got to be in like the top 10 or so in terms of like one punch power. When he lands that straight right or the left hook, he's got to be up there. In terms of how you measure it and how you fucking compare it, I fuck knows, but I'd say he's in the top 10, surely. He's surely in the top 10. Yeah, sorry, Nordic, by the way. I never knew you was live. My feed right now, bro, is fucked, honestly. So sometimes when like yourself goes live, I'll see it. Other times I won't, and it's like that for so many channels now. It's like that for so many channels. It's crazy. What's up, Rem? Yeah, Bakole needs to do the combos and not headhunt, go for the body. Yeah, he needs to slow the legs down of Anderson, who's going to be moving, I'd imagine. He's got the quicker feet and quicker hands, and I think Anderson is going to try to make that his advantage in this fight. He's going to try and use his movement and his superior speed, but Bakole is a bigger man. Bakole is a more experienced man. If he can use his physicality, I really think he's got a great chance of winning that fight. Because I don't think Anderson could compete with Bakole in the pocket or even at mid-range. Honestly. It's a hard fight to call. It's a hard fight to call because we know Anderson is like the A side. He's like the chosen one. But I don't know, man. If that fight's real and on the up, I'm picking Bakole, sorry. I'm picking Bakole. Okay, yeah, he was running out of things to talk about. Yeah, boxing. We got a decent weekend now coming up, like this today. But I know what you mean, man. Like I've really struggled with boxing for a while to make content. I had a good. I think it was June or May. I did a lot of videos, like the most videos I've done in like 2 years. But yeah, recently it's been a little dead. It's been a little dead. The only fight I want to see is Miller. Yeah, bro, I like the Miller Ruiz fight for some reason. It's like one of those fucking random. It's like one of those random fights that nobody was really calling for, but for some reason I'm intrigued by it. I've got a gut feeling Miller will beat Ruiz tonight. Well, like, listen, I'm going Ruiz on points. I think it's the sensible pick, but as I said in my prediction video, if Miller were to win and let's say outwork Ruiz, it wouldn't really surprise me. It wouldn't really surprise me, to be honest with you. Ruiz has looked awful in his last two fights against a shot Chris Arreola and a shot Luis Ortiz. He looked awful in both fights. Absolutely awful. Got dropped by Chris Arreola. I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility. He's not fought in like 2 years. Miller's been more active, and Miller is, for better or worse, Miller is quite an active fighter. Even now, post-drug ban, he's quite active. I think he's got a chance. I don't think he wins, but I think he's got a chance. Yeah, it's a weirdly good fight, Nordic. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter much in the heavyweight division. Ruiz is basically going to be where he was. And, well, if Miller wins, it puts him back up there, but it doesn't really change much. Neither guy, nobody's going to be clamoring for one of these guys to fight for a title, whoever wins. But it's just a weirdly interesting fight. Yeah, Miller's genuinely the most entertaining fighter I've ever heard on the mic. Shame he had 4 years out. Yeah, yeah, his best years got taken. Yeah, and I'm not saying the guy was ever great. He wasn't, but I think he could have been interesting. I think he could have been interesting. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling, Nordic. I'm kind of feeling like Ruiz close on points. I wouldn't be surprised if it's controversial either. Let's say Ruiz like wins a robbery or what's considered a robbery. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. Okay, nice. You're enjoying your job. You got a new job, Nordic. You got a new one. I'm not gonna lie. I have thought about getting a new job, but I want to do something completely different. To be honest, I kind of want to do something completely different. I get it stuck in my head that I'm too old to learn something new, but I'm not really. Honestly, I'm not. Kind of want to do something different. Okay, so Miller Ruiz is a 10 rounder apparently. Fuck me. Real Miller, let's have a look on BoxRec. Can't always trust BoxRec though. According to BoxRec, it's a 12 rounder. According to BoxRec, it's a 12 rounder. Yeah. Miller is in shape for him. He's lost 30 pounds since his last fight with Dubois. Become a train driver, good salaries. I wouldn't want to be a train driver. How's it going, Lee, man? I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. Ruiz looks like a bag of milk. Yeah, he looks like a bowl of melted ice cream, doesn't he? Andy Ruiz. He looks like a bowl of melted ice cream. Yeah, he did. Yeah, there was a couple of rounds where Miller gave Dubois issues. Yeah, there was. He couldn't sustain it, though. He was so out of shape in that fight. He was so out of shape. No, bro. I don't want. When I go to work, I kind of want less chit chat, less colleagues. To be honest with you, I'm not into. I don't go to work. I'm not one of those social people at work at all. You got Miller on points. I think he'll take over late. Okay, interesting. Because that's what I was asking earlier. If it is a 12 rounder, who does that actually favour? I feel like Ruiz has gone 12 more times, but he's just been so inactive. That's what's good about my new job. I usually get left alone. Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. That's what I like. That's what I kind of like. That's one good thing about my job. When I'm in the office, I'm sitting next to people, but I can kind of put my headphones in and tune out. Yeah, on paper I work in a team, but I can get on with my own shit. Yeah, way too many normies at my job. It's draining to be around. Yeah, facts. That's facts. Yeah, he wants 50 fights apparently, Chisora. Don't know who he fights next. I don't know who you match him with. Maybe a Dillian White third fight. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who you match him with. Tyson Fury fourth fight. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if It wouldn't surprise me if Anderson gets like ragdolled. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But when you're in a team, there's always some bum who does nothing. Yeah, I don't blame him either, man. Sometimes I don't blame him. But you're right, Lee. You're right. Chisora Wilder. Chisora versus Wilder. Let's get it. Fuck it. He might beat Wilder. 2024 Wilder versus 2024 Chisora. I'd watch it. Somebody's getting knocked out. Somebody's getting knocked out. Wilder, yeah, Wilder said he's still fighting. So we get to see Wilder get cleaned out again, which is good. Hopefully the knockout's funnier than the Zhili Zhang knockout, whoever he gets knocked out by. Do I wear my mask at work? You got Chisora stopping Wilder late on. He's probably got a better gas tank. He can still... Chisora's punch resistance is gone, but he can still take a shot way better than Wilder, honestly. He can still take a shot way better than Wilder. Joyce Wilder could be interesting. That could be fun. The only thing I could see them maybe doing with Wilder, let's say Ruiz beats... Because I'm assuming Wilder's still going to be fighting on those Saudi cards. If Ruiz beats... Well, maybe just the winner of Miller-Ruiz could kind of make sense for Wilder. I think he loses, but it kind of makes sense. Wilder versus White, yeah. That makes sense. There's someone I know, unironically, talking about the 43rd COVID wave and telling people to wear a mask. Yeah, I said about this earlier, Larry. We was talking about this a lot earlier, about the riots. I'm conflicted because I refuse to condemn the working class in this country because that's the community I come from. We have reasons to be upset. It's a two-tier policing system. So I refuse to condemn the working class. Having said that, I think it's a bigger play to introduce things like facial recognition and increased technology to really just further erode our freedom. Because, you know, these politicians and leaders, they never let a crisis go to waste. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the angle is here. We've heard Keir Starmer talking about it already. So I'm kind of conflicted on it. In one sense, the working class, again, there's a two-tier policing system in this country. The working class have been ignored for forever in this country, so I don't blame them. Because I come from that community anyway, so it's a hard one, man. Yeah, I'll watch it. It's a good fight, Rem. Zach Chelly's more proven at domestic level. Callum Simpson goes the A side. It's at his hometown, right? I think maybe Callum Simpson on points. Callum Simpson reminds me of like a poor man's David Benavidez. That's my comparison. Like, he really does go gung ho. He puts his shots together, tries to make a fight out of it. He's entertaining, Callum Simpson. I don't think he's got a particularly high level, but yeah, it's an okay fight. Wilder versus Joyce. Yeah, that's a good call. I agree. Yeah, Joe Laws is terrible. Stephen McKenna. I don't think Stephen McKenna's great, but he's way better. He'll knock out Joe Laws. Do you mean in regards to the current riots? JD. I mean, when I see Keir Starmer condemning other riots with the same vitriol in which he's condemned these riots, then we can compare. But until then, fuck it. Like, he never came out about Leeds, never said anything. He supported other riots, but now he's coming down hard. It's funny, interesting. Yeah. I need to make more ranting videos, honestly. I need to make more ranting videos. Jamal Harvey of the USA is about to get eliminated. Is he losing? Is he fighting right now? Yeah, far right is the new buzzword of the Guardian reading middle class liberals. Yeah, and we were saying this earlier about the middle class in this country. They are so apathetic. They're just as much of an enemy as like the political elite are. Yeah, Chris Andre's cool, man. Cool dude. Really cool dude. I think he's okay. I think he put something out on Twitter a little while ago saying he's okay. Just had some things come up. But yeah, man, he's a cool channel, man. Nah, bro. Like Wilder seems to me like he's like a guy like David Price, where like when he gets knocked out, it's funny for some reason. So I want to see him fight again and get knocked out again. Yeah, I think Aspinall is probably the best British MMA fighter right now. He's the interim heavyweight champion in the UFC, and for whatever reason, the UFC don't want to make that fight between him and John Jones. Um, I think he had a good idea though. Like Tom Aspinall said, let John Jones fight Stipe, he'll fight Alex Pereira, and the winners fight each other. I think that's a good compromise. But I don't think John Jones wants to fight Aspinall, to be honest. How do I feel about Bakole sparring stories? There's probably some truth to them, right? There's always probably some truth to them. Like Dave Allen said it. Like Dave Allen said he was like surprised with how talented he was. Like Dave Allen said it. By the way, you guys know as a boxer, I never liked Dave Allen. I never liked what he stood for, getting certain fights when he never deserved them, turning up out of shape. But he's actually got a YouTube channel right now, and he just talks about like people he's sparred and things like that. He's released some interesting videos. His channel is actually quite good. It's quite insightful, Dave Allen's channel. And yeah, he was mentioning Bakole about how like talented he was, kind of thing. Like basically a bit of a head case, but very talented is how he kind of described him. And I've always seen that with Bakole. I've always seen a fighter who's got a unique skill set for a heavyweight. And the only comparison I could make stylistically would be Riddick Bowe. I'm not saying he's as good because people conflate that. When you say somebody is similar stylistically, that means you're saying they're as good. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying stylistically, he reminds me a little of Riddick Bowe. Yeah, I want to do more of those videos, Larry. I want to do more of those videos. Those longer form videos, but I want to change it up. But I've had so many ideas in regards to boxing for a while. One of the things that kind of holds me back or puts me off is like the copyright. Because I'd like to do some more deep dives into certain fighters. So, for example, like I'd like to do like a similar video, but like with footage and shit of Edwin Valero, for example, like fighters who had their careers cut short for whatever reason. So, like Edwin Valero, Ike Ibushi, guys like that. That'll be interesting. But that's on the list, man. It's on the list. I'll probably get around to it at some point. What was the funniest KO loss of Khan's? Oh, it's got to be the Prescott KO, man. Bradis Prescott. It's got to be Bradis Prescott knocking out Khan. The Price knockout of Tepper was funny just because of the commentary. JD, him like splattered in the corner, and all you hear is like, I think it was Jim Rawling, dear oh dear oh dear oh dear. But also the Povetkin knockout was kind of like, it's brutal, but how he was standing there like proper out of his tree before he got knocked out was kind of funny, wasn't it? Edwin, oh fuck, what's his name? Felix Verdejo. Yeah, when Felix turned pro, there was a lot of excitement about him. A lot of excitement. We're talking like, people saying he could be the next Cotto. Yeah, Verdejo. I mean, the worst boxer ever. I mean, how do you quantify that? Do you mean like the worst person ever to put on a pair of gloves? We've never seen him fight. But the worst fighter at like a good level. Let's say who's the worst world champion. I think that's an easier way to quantify it. The worst world champion, it's got to be Rolly Romero. I think Romero might be the worst world champion I've seen. Purely from a skill set perspective. Purely from a skill set perspective, it may be Rolly Romero. Like, he's done really well out of boxing to be a part of a pay-per-view fight and on a pay-per-view undercard, and to somehow be a world champion. Stavern was bad, actually. Stavern was bad. Yeah, Stavern was crap. But even Stavern had a good amateur career. There was some talent there. He was another one who was just always out of shape. Like, Stavern was a good amateur. I think he beat Price and Hellenius in the amateurs, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he actually had a good amateur career. Stavern. Good counterpuncher. Like, he could crack. Chavez Jr. was Chavez Jr. was bad. He purely got by on size. I met one of Rolly's family members in 2022. They told me all the things Rolly helped his family with after the Tank fight. Rolly is a saint despite his shortcomings in boxing. Yeah, he puts on a show like when he's in press conferences, but yeah, I know he got caught up with that whole scandal that was fake in the end, but I've never really seen him as like a bad guy. Immature, yeah, and a bit cringy and whatnot, yeah, all fine, but when O'Hara Davis recently got ironed out, that was class. Yeah, who did he got knocked out by Barroso, right? Spell Barroso. Has Barroso fought since? Barroso's got a fight coming up, by the way, in Japan in September. He's fighting Hiroka from Japan. Who's been around for a while, this Hiroka guy. He's unbeaten, 23-0, 18 knockouts. Wilder's brother was bad. Yeah, Wilder's brother was awful. Absolute bum. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. With Wilder's brother, Marcellus, whatever his name was, I genuinely think there's guys in gyms across the world who have been training for like 6 months who could beat that guy. I've seen a few people saying this, Ram. I'm picking Valenzuela to stop Isaac Cruz tonight. I've seen a few people saying it. I've got Isaac Cruz like first half of that fight by knockout. Harley Ben was another one, yeah. Joey Parker's only 32. I could see him winning another heavyweight title in the future. It's not that far-fetched, honestly, because Usyk fights Fury. I would imagine the belts then become further fragmented. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised anyway. I'm not calling it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. By the way, I've never been the biggest Joseph Parker fan, but we have to shout out that guy's resume. He's fought a lot of guys in his time. Like all the way back from like 2016 onwards. He's fought a lot of good competition. So like even like a guy like Carlos Takam, back then he was a contender. He fought Andy Ruiz. He won that fight as well. A lot of people say he lost, but I felt Joey Parker won. He fought White, kind of got unlucky, got headbutted and got dropped. One of those knockdowns was bogus. He fought Joshua. He fought Joyce when Joyce was Joyce. Wilder. Zhili Zhang. Even a guy like Huey Fury, very awkward, very horrible to fight. He's fought good competition, Joseph Parker. Chisora a couple of times. You can't question Parker's like willingness to fight people. The only guys he's not fought, the only guy he's not really fought, is Usyk and Fury. Yeah, I agree, man. Like, Parker's jab was the difference in that bout. Parker's jab was what won him that fight. Yeah, I can't imagine Usyk and Fury will fight beyond their rematch if it ever happens, yeah. I think, well, Usyk said he'd like to go back down to cruiserweight. I don't think he will. I don't even remember, JD. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've seen that fight, and that fight was so bad, I've kind of erased it from my memory. I think at the time I had him doing better than a lot of people did, but I felt he lost. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Wilder, Parker ranks above Wilder. The only thing you can say in the opposite is, well, Wilder had title defenses, but against who? Against who? Usyk Bakole at Bridgerweight? Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Wilder versus Bakole at Bridgerweight, because WBC said they would entertain Wilder fighting at Bridgerweight. Why not? Yeah, I think Usyk being a heavyweight is taking a toll on him. That's why, yeah, possibly. Well, he said he's eating a lot of food to maintain that weight. He said he's eating a lot of food, so yeah. Yeah, if Usyk stays at heavyweight, honestly, let's say Usyk beats Fury and he wants to stay at heavyweight, I think Parker deserves it the most. Honestly, I think Parker deserves that fight the most. There's bigger fights, like a third fight with Joshua, even a Zhili Zhang. But if we're talking on a meritocracy level, I think Parker would deserve a shot. Yeah, I could see Dubois getting knocked out early. I like the fight because I think Dubois is going to be dangerous just due to the power and maybe the aggression. Maybe he could catch AJ by surprise, but he's going to leave so many openings. That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, I don't mind. I'm weirdly intrigued about Wilder Bakole. I think Bakole beats Wilder right now, to be honest. I think Bakole beats him. But I'd watch it. I'd watch it. I think for the Bridgerweight division, that's the sort of fight they'd probably want, would be Wilder Bakole. It's a fight of like some sort of interest to a degree. That's what I'm saying, Brett. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, if Wilder fought Bakole, it would legitimize the Bridgerweight title in the eyes of some casuals. Yeah, exactly. I'm not even against Bridgerweight like a lot of people are, to be honest. For me, it's not necessarily the number of divisions in boxing. It's the fact that we have a whole host of champions who don't fight each other. The actual number of divisions, in my opinion, isn't really the issue. It's more so that the sanctioning bodies, if we have all of these sanctioning bodies, they should be more aligned and more and be more willing to let their champions fight each other. Oh yeah, Shakur is awful to watch. I feel like when I watch Shakur, I get like my testosterone drains like round by round when I watch that guy fight, because it's not fighting, it's tip tap dancing, whatever you want to call it. Going to the bookies, don't bet too much, man. Don't bet too much. Hope you win, man. Hope you win. Hope you win some money. And yeah, get the likes in. Get the likes in. Indeed. What time is this Sky card? What time does this card start, do you reckon? What time does this card start? Sky Sports schedule. Main event. Okay, it starts at 7:30, like the undercard. No, I don't think he's a generational talent, to be honest with you, JD. I don't see many generational talents coming up in boxing. Outside the guys who are at the top now, like Usyk and Crawford and Inoue. Do you guys see any generational guys coming up? There's some very talented guys coming up, but Rain Man, main plan. Yeah, we've moved away from the Floyd Mayweather style of fighting. Bakole versus Wilder would be funny to watch. Yeah, it would be comedy, wouldn't it? It would be comedy. I think I'd be rooting for Wilder in that fight as well, by the way. I think I'd be rooting for Wilder. Yeah, Jesse Rodriguez looks good, man. I can't lie. So does Junto Nakatani. Nakatani versus Bam Rodriguez in those lower weight classes is a damn good fight. That Junto kid can fucking crack, man. He's like a 5'9" southpaw at bantamweight. Tough ask. Tough ask. That's an interesting point, Rolf Stonefist. I think boxing fundamentals and skills have declined over the past 10 years globally. I'd have to compare and contrast like the world champions, but that's an interesting point. I feel like right now I go through phases with boxing. Like there's like a couple of weeks where I'll be really interested. And like for the last like month or so, I've really struggled with boxing. I've really struggled. So do I, JD. I think Ben Whittaker is going to get brutally KO'd one day. I don't mind him, but it'd be funny to see him get knocked out. It's the perfect example of cocky fighters getting KO'd, yeah. And I think with Ben Whittaker, don't get me wrong, like in terms of like athletic ability and quickness and things like that, he's got a lot going for him, but does he have like the fundamentals? I don't think he does. I think he's another Josh Kelly, to be honest with you. I think he's another Josh Kelly. And Ben, like Rayman said, I think he lacks. You're going to see the lack of power as he goes through the levels. Josh Kelly or Liam Smith? If you asked me this any point over the last 5 years, I'd say Liam Smith comfortably. But Liam Smith looked so bad in that Eubank rematch. He looked so bad. He's like mid-30s. Maybe Josh Kelly can prod and probe and peck and win his way to a decision. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me. Weirdly, I'm half tempted to take the upset in that fight. I know Josh Kelly's never fought at middleweight, but I'm kind of half tempted to take the upset. I'd have to think about it. I'll think about it. But yeah, I mean, if Liam Smith comes in and he's Liam Smith, he will win, in my opinion. But I'm not convinced he's there anymore. Boatsi versus Hutchinson is a tough fight to call. I'll be honest, I actually think Boatsi wins that one comfortably. I know Willie did well against Craig Richards, but he boxed well, but he's still kind of gassed towards the end, man, and he fought that fight on his terms. I think Boatsi is going to make the guy work harder, and he's going to find that chin a lot more regularly, and he hits a lot harder than Richards. I think Boatsi knocks out Hutchinson, to be honest. And let's be honest about the Hutchinson fight. Richards looked awful, by the way. He looked terrible. And I heard a few rumors about Craig Richards for why he was out for so long. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it kind of makes sense considering how he performed, if you catch my drift. I think Isaac Chamberlain can still have fights at domestic level. Isaac Chamberlain's a good domestic level fighter. The issue for Isaac Chamberlain is he's way too big for light heavyweight, but he's a small cruiserweight. He's got skill, Isaac Chamberlain, and he always comes across a nice guy. He's been involved in some good fights post that Bakole fight. So like the last fight he had was good against Jack Massey. That was a good fight. The Bill Smith fight was really good. But I think Isaac is if he wants to continue, he can still have fights at domestic level. Even a rematch with like Jack Massey, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I don't see the talent coming through right now. Oh yeah, Vidal Riley, that's a good fight for him. It's a good test for Vidal Riley as well. Yeah, that's a good fight. I don't mind that one. Along those lines, JD, but not quite. Along those lines, I watched the CBS Chamberlain fight live. The atmosphere was incredible. Sounded like I was in a stadium, yeah. And that was a damn good fight as well. That was a damn good fight. I think Chamberlain's had some bad luck in his career with promoters and things like that. Because I think at domestic level, this guy's a bit of a stalwart. He's going to be in good fights if you match him correctly. He's going to be in good fights if you match him correctly. You know, if he's in there with an aggressive guy, Chamberlain's not the type of guy to run. He'll box you if you let him box you, but if you fight him, he'll fight you back. What's up? I am your leader. Hopefully you're well, man. Yeah, that's what I heard, bro. That's what I heard. Hot take, CBS has a better resume than Opataya. CBS beat Bakole and Riakporhe and Masternak, whereas Opataya just beat Briedis twice. I would still rate Briedis, though, over those guys he beat, I'll be honest. I'd still rate Briedis over those guys. Yeah, Cole's awful, man. He's another guy, man. I just look at it and say, this guy's a scourge on boxing. All that guy does is drive people away from boxing. Okay, Lewis Richardson up of GB up next at the Olympics. Great Britain's last hope to win a medal. Yeah, we're shit now in amateur boxing. We had some good years, but we're shit at a minute. I've got Pitbull. I got Pitbull by early-ish knockout. So like first half of the fight, I've got him by knockout. A lot of people have come in here and picked Rayo by knockout, Valenzuela by knockout, which I'm kind of surprised by. Valenzuela's going to go in there and he's going to swing, and he can crack. However, the issue I have with Valenzuela is he looks like a guy, from what I've seen of him, he's a guy who can be easily knocked out of his boxing stance and he loses composure quickly. Whereas Isaac Cruz is more... His composure is a lot more impressive to me. I think he holds his shape a lot better. And I actually think his overall fundamentals are better, like in terms of footwork, in terms of his guard, in terms of balance. And yeah, like Valenzuela's chin isn't great either. He's a bit of a glass cannon, Valenzuela. He hits hard and he comes to fight, but his chin isn't great. His chin isn't great. Like he got knocked out by De Los Santos, fair enough. De Los Santos can crack, but he got rocked by Chris Colbert. Yeah, a lot of people are picking Valenzuela, which I'm surprised by, to be honest. I'm surprised by. Yeah, Bakole had all the attributes you wanted. If you're a trainer and you've got a cruiserweight, a 6'5" cruiserweight with long arms and a big punch, that's what you want. But yeah, he never developed his ability to stay on the outside. So when a guy got in on him, all he does is clinch. He's never addressed that. Who's a better promoter, Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren? Head-to-head, I think Frank Warren is a much better manager of talent. So his matchmaking is better, for the most part, than Eddie Hearn's. I think Eddie Hearn, though, is a better promoter in terms of getting the product out there. So it depends what you look for. It depends what you look for. If I was a young fighter who was serious first about boxing and fame second, I would choose Frank Warren. If I was a fighter who was more interested in fame, I would choose Eddie Hearn. That's the best way I can describe it. That's the best way I can explain it. It depends on if Rayo can hurt Pitbull and keep him at range. He has a chance if he's work. But if he can't hurt him, Pitbull should win, yeah. I'm not convinced in his chin. I agree. Yeah, Frank's got a much better eye for boxing. Hearn's a better talker and personality, yeah. So Hearn is a better salesman, but you're right. I think Frank, I feel like he could hold a conversation about boxing. Eddie, not so much. I think Frank is a lot more knowledgeable on boxing. a lot more knowledgeable, and the people around him are as well. See, if I could work in one industry in boxing, it would definitely be as a matchmaker. I feel like that's the easiest job in boxing that a lot of idiots make hard. Honestly. And sometimes matchmaking goes wrong for prospects, but like some of these fights these prospects have are utterly useless. Utterly useless. I wouldn't trust Eddie Hearn to tell me the truth about the weather. I guess that's why he's a decent promoter, though, right? I actually think Eddie Hearn after boxing. I think Eddie Hearn after boxing will enter the political world. Watch this space. Watch this space. That's what he'll do. He'll enter the political world in some form. I'm not sure what form that is, but he will. That's my guess on where Eddie Hearn goes in the long run. 1 second, guys. I'm going to get a drink ever so quickly. Stick the oven on as well. I need to start. Oh yeah. Riyadh season, yeah. Eddie got smoked like a bag of weed by old fish eyes. I liked that concept though of that show, man. It was interesting. It was interesting, man. See, a lot of people moan about shit like that. Oh, it's a terrible. Promoters are taking the center stage. I don't give a fuck about that. All I want to see is good fights, and I thought the card was good. It's probably my favorite Saudi card, I would say. I felt the card was good overall, to be honest. It was a good card. Like Nick Ball versus Ray Ford was a very good fight. We saw Wilder getting knocked out, which is always good. Always a good card, man. Yeah, great example of perfect matchmaking is Bam Rodriguez. Yeah, right opponents at the right time, yeah. So listen, he's going to learn from those fights, but at the same time, they're fights he should be winning. I know they're big names on paper, but you're right. They're faded. The guys he's fighting are faded. You know, guys like Estrada, Rungvisai, Quadras, guys like that, they're faded. They have a little bit left. They're not like completely shot, but they're faded. So he's going to learn from those fights, but he's going to win those fights. And that's what perfect matchmaking is from a developmental perspective. The issue I have with that, though, you can't be doing that when you're a champion. That's the issue. But they're the sort of fights you should be having, like on the come up. Not like necessarily Estrada and guys like that, but you know what I mean. Guys who are going to test you, but guys that you should beat. Yeah, Eddie Hearn is tailor-made for politics. I agree. And I really think he's going to go down that route. There's just been a couple of hints he's dropped recently, like about these riots. And he was kind of like insinuating certain things. Like that made me think, this guy's going to go into politics. But yeah, I feel like matchmaking, I'd love to be a matchmaker. I'd love to be a matchmaker, honestly. I really would. But, you know, it's all jobs for the boys in boxing, isn't it? I don't understand why boxing promoters don't reach out to people like us. Now that probably sounds fucking arrogant. But, like, we know, most of us in this chat, I'm more casual now than I've ever been. But I still feel I know more about boxing than a lot of those guys who work at Matchroom who put these fights together. As do a lot of you guys in the chat. Like we were saying earlier, like if I was matching like Moses Itauma, for example, I think a guy like Jermaine Franklin next is ideal. Someone like Jermaine Franklin. People know who he is because he's fought Dillian White and Joshua. We know he's durable. We know he goes rounds. And he's kind of cute and like defensively savvy. The guys, I think that'll be an interesting fight for Itauma. A fight he should win, but a fight in which he should be shown a few different things by his opponent. You know, taking some rounds, having to break down an opponent, and earn the stoppage. Because any old Tom, Dick, and Harry can say, "Oh, let's chuck a 43-year-old Marius back in there." Any casual could do that. But a guy like Franklin, some people would say it's too soon. I don't think it is. I see Moses beating that guy now. Never too late, bro. It's never too late, Stone. Never too late. Never too late. How big are you as well? That's another question. How big are you? Are you a big dude? Like, but no, it's never too late anyway. You can still have some amateur fights. By the way, Nate Campbell started boxing at 24 years old. Nate Campbell became, I think, a lightweight world champion. Sergio Martinez started boxing at 2021. He became a world champion. Yeah, he was, but he was stopped by Makhmedov a couple of years ago. Yeah, but still, it was still impressive the way he went about it. Not even that he stopped whack, but more so how he did it, like how he doesn't smother himself when he's got a guy hurt, and how he was picking the shots really well, going from body to head, giving himself space. Seems to have good finishing instinct. Yeah, exactly. 23 is a baby. Yeah, go for it, exactly. I wish, if I was 23 again, I would take boxing seriously. There's another guy your height. Who turned pro late. I think he was your height as well. Okay, I need to convert this height to feet. Hang on. I'm very bad with converting meters to feet. So yeah, Dwight Muhammad Qawi, he was like 5'5". He turned to boxing when he was in prison. He was like, what, 24 years old or something like that. So he learned to box in prison. He comes out and he wins, like he's the light heavyweight champion, beat guys like Matthew Saad Muhammad, fought Evander Holyfield for a cruiserweight title. It's been done. It's been done. It's been done. It's been done. Yeah, he fought Foreman as well at heavyweight. He was like 5'5" and he fought Foreman at heavyweight. I swear, I think he did. Yeah, he fought Foreman. Yeah, he did. But Dwight Muhammad Qawi was a good fighter. Very, very good. He used his height to his advantage. Strong guy, good gas tank, good chin, decent punch on him, good stamina. But yeah, he turned to boxing quite late. I think he was like mid-20s, maybe. I think he was mid-20s. He wasn't young when he took it up. It might have been later than that. Let me figure out exactly. But Rocky Marciano started late as well, right? I think Rocky Marciano was in his 20s when he learned to box. And yeah, Dwight Muhammad Qawi never had an amateur fight. I think he had some prison fights, but that was it. He had an interesting career. That'll be an interesting video to do, like an interesting documentary idea, to be honest. So yeah, Wilder started to box late. He did, yeah. Wilder started to box late. Like I said, Sergio Martinez, Rocky Marciano, Lucas Brown started late. I know. Again, you can say he wasn't a great fighter, but He fought for a WBA regular title. He made a bit of money. I think he started boxing like he was 30. He was old. Yeah, Joshua started at 18. I was very surprised that I heard Usyk started boxing at 15, considering how special of a talent he is. But if you have like some sort of crazy, if you have the aptitude to learn something quick, you can get away with a late start to boxing. Or alternatively, if you have a physical attribute that stands out, that can help you as well if you start boxing late. That's why I regret not like taking boxing seriously. So I started boxing 16, 17, which is late-ish. I've done it for a year, about a year or so. Then I stopped until I was like 20. When I was 20, I wish I took boxing seriously then. Because although I had a late start and I was behind the curve in terms of like experience, one thing I had in terms of like intangibles that was like kind of different was my reach. I got crazy long arms that could have helped me bridge a gap potentially, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Bakole win either. No, I'm not a southpaw. I'm orthodox. I'm about 6'1", maybe 6'1.5". So with certain shoes on, I'm 6'2". We'll say that. So my trainer was interesting. My first trainer, anyway. He was interesting. So he measured arm length more so than reach. I know they measured our reach. I forget what my reach was, but they measured our reach. But he liked to do the old arm length because he always felt it was more important than reach, and I understand why. And my arms were nearly 29 inches long, my arm length. And I'm 6'1". So I was fighting back then. My weight was like 147, 150-ish, I guess. And I had like nearly 29-inch long arms. Vladimir Klitschko had 26-inch arms. I'm looking now. And Vitaly Klitschko had 29-inch arms. Like Floyd Mayweather, he had abnormally long arms as well for his height. So he had 26-inch arm length. So yeah, I've got like monkey arms, honestly. I've got fucking long arms. And that was my like I guess physical differential to other people. That was what I kind of banked on, to be honest with you. But yeah, arm length and reach aren't the same. I forget what my reach was. I think my reach was more like, it was above normal for my kind of weight, but it was more normal because I got narrow shoulders. But my arm length is just long. I've got long arms. Orangutan, yeah. That was my, I guess, my physical like advantage, I guess. And I've always been slim as well, so like the guys I was fighting were shorter than me. But that's really the only that's the gift I had, I guess. If I had any gift, it was the arm length. Because I wasn't the fastest. And because of the arm length, I can only really, like I was saying earlier, I can only generate power in straight shots, which is weird for a lot of people. A lot of people, it's the opposite. Most people find it easier to generate power with crooked arm shots, so hooks and uppercuts and things like that. I was the opposite. My hooks, like, I can't, bro. I don't think I'll ever knock anybody out with an uppercut. Honestly, I don't think I'd ever knock anybody out with an uppercut. My hooks weren't great either, but my straight punches were good. Like I said earlier, I had a good jab, hard jab, and I could crack with my straight right when I had full extension. But yeah, many young boxers are chosen for arm length early on. Genetic gifts, yeah. I couldn't see myself throwing a left hook in a street fight. I'd throw a right hook though. Yeah, I would keep it long. I would keep it long. Now we've just been going through the cards. The card tonight, Cop End, man. Just been going through the cards, talking just all things boxing, really. Yeah, put your body into it, and you'll knock out most people. Yeah, but yeah, for me, I was never good at generating power up close when I was sparring and training. It was never my forte. Never was. I was never good in the pocket. I was never good on the inside. Mid-range either. I wasn't great. But my comfort zone was range. That was my comfort zone. I'm basically fucking Lawrence Okole, honestly. I'm a shit Lawrence Okole, basically. That's how I would describe my style. If I had to compare myself stylistically. Not saying I'm as good. I'm saying stylistically. I purely relied on distance. And even when I had success on the inside, if I was fighting a guy who could fight on the inside, I'd just get outworked, even if I was landing shots. I just couldn't keep up on the inside. Even if I was landing shots, I couldn't keep up with, like, if somebody had output, I couldn't keep up. So yeah, I wasn't great, man. But if I trained hard, so I never, even when I so the second time when I was, when I started again at 20, so I started at 16, 17, I forget exactly when, trained for about a year, stopped, went back to boxing, trained again. And when I was 20, trained for a little while, was supposed to have an amateur fight, had it all scheduled. The guy pulled out. This was supposed to be, I think this was supposed to be in a place called Hitchin, or it's either Hitchin or Luton, I don't remember. But the guy pulled out. I kept on training. I couldn't get a fight booked. Then I got a new job. Life changed. Birds and booze and all that shit. You know how it is. I stopped training. And ever since then, I've been stop, start. I've never trained seriously since. I was jumped when I was younger. I got back up, and when the guy came charging at me, I did something I've never done in my life. I dipped and threw a left hook to the body. The guy whimpered. Great stuff, man. That was another thing I wasn't very good at either, was hooking to the body. Well, I wasn't a good body puncher. I'd fire the jab to the body, like the chest area, and I'd fire the straight right to the body. But that's about it, honestly. So when I was boxing, when I was like half taking it seriously, I had a few fighters I liked to watch. I had several fighters I liked to watch. So when I was boxing, when I first started, when I was 17, I liked watching guys like David Haye and Sergio Martinez initially, but I tried to fight like those guys, didn't go well. Then I kind of diverted to guys like Klitschko, like Vladimir and Tommy Hearns and guys like that. Guys who kind of had my physiology, I guess. Is that the right word? But yeah, one thing when I was, I always tried to, the mistake I made as well, I always tried to fight like fighters I watched, which isn't a good idea. I certainly wouldn't recommend that. You need to try to utilize what you have physically and fight in a way that you're most naturally comfortable with. That's the key. That's the key for me. Is fight in a way that's most natural to you, and then build from there. The worst thing about UK coaches is they have this kind of square peg round hole approach where they try to make everybody fight the same. So that I'm 6'1", nearly 6'2", whatever, and they'll be like high guard jab, basic type of stuff, and they'll be teaching that to a guy who's like 5'4", who's way short for his size, for his weight class. They'll be teaching him the same style, but like, there's no variety amongst boxing coaches in the UK. Not many. There's not many coaches who can teach a variety of different styles. They'll give you the basics, but when you try to express yourself or say to them, yeah, that's all well and good, but this style suits me better, I want to learn in this kind of style, they're not that great. Tell you what makes a good trainer, but this is one aspect that nobody ever talks about when it comes to boxing trainers, is boxing trainers who understand body mechanics. And there's very few who do. Even pro trainers, there's very few who do. That's the main takeaway I'm trying to get out there. Not many trainers know body mechanics. The most notable one I trained out of was Matt Skelton's old gym. I think he's opened a new gym now. That was in Bedford. I trained in Storm Gym in Luton only for a short period of time because that's more of like a kickboxing gym. I trained in Hitchin. So Graham Earl had a gym in Hitchin way back when. That was when I was 20-ish. That's when I trained in Hitchin. I trained in Hitchin when I was about 20. And it was Graham Earl's gym. I think I was about 20. God, I'm getting old, mate. I think I was about 20 when I trained at Graham Earl's gym. But Graham Earl's gym closed shortly after I left again because he got sent down for... I swear he got sent down for drug trafficking. I think it's still a gym now, but it's in different hands. I think it's still a gym now, but I think it's in different hands. I think it's like more of a mixed gym, like it's boxing and fitness, whereas before it was only just boxing. There was another gym back in the day in Hitchin as well I went to for a short period of time that I didn't like. It was a nice gym, but I didn't like the guy. I didn't like the instructor. I think it was a guy called Wayne Armstrong or something like that. I forget his name. I have the same experience with UK coaches. They don't take style, genetics, or body mechanics into consideration usually. Yeah, it's all square peg, round hole. It's all square peg, round hole. And that's a problem. That's a problem. It's all square peg, round hole. Body mechanics is a big one, man. I don't think people realize how big of an issue that is. Because for me, like trying to teach me like crazy head movement drills when I'm fighting guys who are shorter than me, for me it's a waste of energy and it doesn't come naturally. My whole defense, my whole form of defense, I like to low lead hand. I like to be active with a lead hand, change levels, feint with it, try to prod and probe. I was that kind of guy, and I kind of like lean back. That was my defense: right hand high, lean back. But like trying to get me to do some elaborate head movement drills or things like that just didn't come naturally to me. It's weird because I don't know whether it was like a dexterity issue because I never felt natural trying to like do. It never felt natural me doing head movement drills, but what felt natural was me just evading punches as they came. Does that make sense? Like doing it on the fly. I think that's because I started late though. Scott Harrison, yeah, that's Scott Harrison you're talking about, was the only coach I worked with who actually seemed to understand those things. Other amateur coaches I worked with were very dogmatic, yeah. Yeah, they become that way. What I hate most about boxing gyms too is that they only seem to promote catabolic training, all cardio and repetitive drills. Yeah, there's that as well. I'll be honest, right? In a boxing session, yeah, you should warm up and things like that. But when I go to a boxing gym, when it's boxing time, this is another thing that boils my piss. Is how they will do let's say it's a 90-minute boxing, like boxing only, but then they put like 20 minutes medicine ball and all that shit, and like push-ups and sit-ups. Listen, if it's boxing, it should be boxing. Honestly, I just want boxing. Pads, bags, sparring. But when I went, so the Hitchin gym, not the Graham Earl one, the other one, this guy, man, like, I'm not there to do fucking boxercise, bro. That's it. But he'd let us spar in that, but like he'd make sure, oh, you've all got to do your medicine ball workout, your skipping, and your sit-ups and your push-ups. Bro, I'm here to box. I'm here to box. I don't mind doing that in a separate session, but I think there should be. But like, there's a lot of gyms who don't have boxing-only sessions either. That's another thing. Scott had us doing strength training, practical circuits, and proper controlled technical sparring and pads, actually teaching us how to box. I learned so much in a short time. Yeah, bro. A lot of gyms are becoming that way, though, Rolf. A lot of gyms are becoming that way, and I think it's because a lot of these coaches are fucking lazy, to be honest. Because they don't really have to do anything. They don't really have to do anything. Do this, do that. There's no holding the pads. There's no technical breakdowns. There's no like instructional advice or anything like that with a lot of these trainers. I'll say the best fun I had at a gym, though, would probably be Matt Skelton's gym way back when. That was when I was 17. That was when I was young. So there was 2 gyms in Bedford. There was like Bedford ABC, I think it was. And there was Matt Skelton's gym. I went to Bedford ABC for a bit. That was okay. But Matt Skelton's gym was actually pretty decent, to be fair. They also did like Muay Thai and things like that. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I think he's opened a new gym as well, Matt Skelton. And he would show up as well, Matt Skelton. He wasn't so much like training, but he was there a lot of the time, encouraging. Proper nice guy as well, Matt Skelton. Really nice guy. Like a really, really nice guy. He reminds me of like one of those I don't know. He's like something out of Snatch or like Lock Stock. He's a like cool, down to earth guy. But like, if people were taking the piss, like he would, if he was there, like he would read the riot act. Like, yeah, he got sent down. Let me have a look. I swear he got sent down. So I think that's why he the gym where he was at changed hands. Yeah. Sent down for drug offences. Yeah, 7 years. That was in 2015. So he's more than likely out now. Yeah. So Hitch and Jim owner discussed. Yeah. So the Wayne Armstrong guy, he was the guy who took it over after Graham Earl. But according to this article, Wayne Armstrong was always the owner. I never knew that. But yeah, that Wayne Armstrong guy is not there anymore. I know that much. He was trash. Yeah, Skelton was a very tough guy. Yeah, very good domestic fighter. Probably European level, maybe, in his prime. Tough guy, man. Good chin. Like, gave Shagayev a decent fight, even like way back when. But yeah, he was my local fighter growing up, Matt Skelton, pretty much. Him and Graham Earl were my local fighters. So I was like always between Bedford and Luton. I've always been surprised Luton especially hasn't produced more boxing talent, to be honest. Because Luton is a rough fucking place. Luton is a rough place. And there's so much violence in that town. I'm surprised it hasn't produced more boxers. Right now, there's like Jordan Reynolds, and I think and Linus Adofia as well. He's a nice guy, by the way. Linus Adofia, and so is Jordan Reynolds. I've met both those guys. They're nice guys. Yeah, he was a good fighter, man. He was that whole domestic scene back then, like Danny Williams, Matt Skelton, Martin Rogan, even Audley Harrison, Michael Sprott, McDermott. They weren't great fighters, but they were pretty well matched. They were pretty well matched back in the day. Matt Skelton always reminded me of a retired hitman. Yeah, he did kickboxing and Muay Thai first. Matt Skelton. So he came from kickboxing. Then he went to boxing. He went to boxing quite late. Matt Skelton, pretty certain. He went to boxing quite late. But he wasn't a bad fighter, Skelton. He wasn't a bad fighter. Probably hung around too long, though. He hung around too long. Luton Airport's a little grim. Bro, the whole of Luton's grim. Some of the outskirts of Luton's okay. Some of the outskirts are okay, but that says it all, really, doesn't it? That says it all. Yeah, now that you mention it, you don't get many fighters from Bedfordshire or Hertfordshire when you consider the combined population. Yeah, I mean, Billy Joe came from Hatfield, right? That's Hertfordshire. Because, yeah, like, around here, so all around this area, so Bedford area, Luton area, Bedfordshire in general, Hertfordshire in general, there's a lot of travellers, like a lot of travellers. Yeah, Skelton was probably Britain's best heavyweight for a few years, was British champion in his late 30s, very respectable. Yeah, considering he came over from kickboxing and Muay Thai, he had a good career. He had a good career. I always remember him when I went to college in Bedford. He always used to drive around in like a Lambo. So he did well out of boxing. Yeah, Billy Joe lived in Hatfield. I used to serve him and his sons at a local shop there, and Tom Little. I remember Tom Little, yeah. Yeah, bro, I remember that fight, yeah. Yeah. That, I think, for a lot of people, although like Skelton got stopped in like 2 rounds or 3 rounds, whatever it was, I think that's the fight that really sounded the alarm with David Price. Because Skelton, by that point in time, was way past his best. Way past his best. Makes you wonder what would have happened if like Skelton was a few years younger. But yeah, Skelton's he had a good career considering, and like I said, like genuinely a very, very nice guy, really nice guy. When Billy Joe won his title off Andy Lee, he was walking around Tesco's with his belt. Yeah, bro, that was when Tony Bellew was saying that David Price would beat Vitaly Klitschko. He beats the Klitschko, ah. But yeah, that was a good knockout. That was on Box Nation. I miss those Box Nation days. I really do. Simpler times. Like Box Nation circa 2011 or 2010, whenever it came out, to 2014-ish was such a good era. I miss those days. See, that's when I was so into boxing. So into boxing. I'm into boxing now, but Yeah, that was it. He's the heir to the Klitschko throne, la. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that John Jackson guy as well. I swear he got sent down for noncing like a few years later. I could be fucking totally tarnishing this guy's reputation, but I'm sure he did. I'm so in my official prediction, I picked Bakole. I am second guessing it a little bit. Yeah. But I remember this build up as well. Yep, the quote is almost as good as Kovalev is Cleverly's Jeff Lacey. I remember the build up to that fight because when that fight first got announced, I bet straight away, and I got close to evens on Kovalev. The price for it, I remember like drifting as the fight got closer. But when that fight was first made, I got some very good odds on Kovalev. Yeah, Price had power, but not the chin. There is no perfect fighter, unfortunately. Amir Khan had fast hands, no chin. Yep. The Crawford card, I've got no fucking idea, man. What? Hang on. What channel is the Crawford card on? Is it DAZN? I haven't got DAZN, but if Tyson didn't duck the Price fight at the time, it was meant to happen. I low-key think Price would have won at the time. See, it's weird. I was always picking Tyson Fury back then, but he never took it for a reason. He never took it for a reason, and it was Tyson Fury who avoided that fight. Okay, so Jackson did fuck up. Okay, yeah, I thought he did. I can't see David's comment on my feed. You know, on like the StreamYard thing. I can't see David's comment. This is what I'm saying about StreamYard, man. It filters comments. So weird. Strange. Yeah, Box Nation was like that grubby bedsit that you used to live in for a while, and being there made you feel like such a loser. But in hindsight, you realize you was very lucky to have it, and actually had a good time. Yeah, facts. Facts. Oh, the comment was a while back. Okay, but yeah, you know, StreamYard be fucking with people. The Crawford card starts at 9:30. Is it pay-per-view, London Shaft? I don't know why I'm asking because I don't have any of it, so I'll fucking stream it. So hang on, this Crawford card should be at a decent time. I might stay up to watch it then. I might stay up. Box Nation had some hilarious commentary. Bro, Box Nation like covered so many random ass cards as well. They covered all the Sauerland cards, all the big cards in Russia. Even like way back when, like Mayweather versus Canelo was Box Nation on non-pay-per-view. It wasn't pay-per-view on Box Nation. You had to pay for the channel, but obviously it wasn't pay-per-view. Shout out to Box Nation. Facts. Is Box Nation still alive? No, it's not anymore. Ah, peak. It closed down 2 years ago. Yeah, Cleverly Bellew 1 was actually a really good fight, yeah. But the rematch, yeah, was awful. Okay, it's not pay-per-view. Okay, so Crawford makes his ring walk at 4 a.m. Okay, fine. So it's still going to be late. I'll see if I can stay up. Yeah, so I think Umar is in control of that channel. The former IFL guy. One of the funniest commentaries to listen to is on the Hellenius Chisora undercard. Jono Rosberg and Manuel Pucheta, one of the most boring fights ever, and the commentators were constantly moaning. Bro, that's what I'm saying. It's like some Last of the Summer wine shit on Box Nation. Yeah, John Rawling is an okay commentator. Duke McKenzie was decent as well. Duke McKenzie was a decent commentator, I think. He had a good voice for it. He had a good cadence for it, I think. But he doesn't get much work, Duke McKenzie. It's the same as the other guy that Tyan Booth calls him, the Black Skeleton. What's his name? McIntosh. Ronald McIntosh. I think he's a good commentator. But he uses big words. He uses big words. I think he's a good commentator as well. Like some old school commentator. Like so-and-so's been hurt in the 4th stanza. He's discombobulated. I like that. I miss Bunce's boxing hour. Buncey's boxing hour. One time a caller rang up and called Buncey a cunt live on air. Bro, Steve Bunce, by the way, he's got some clangers as well. My favourite was the Jade Goody thing. That was so funny. Steve Bunce is low-key a funny guy. But he's been neutered now because he's like mainstream on like BT and shit, or TNT, whatever it's called. On Box Nation, he was so much more funny, Steve Bunce. Yeah, fucking Eminem, Jesus. Yeah, McIntosh is definitely better than DAZN, ESPN, PBC commentary. Yeah, the commentary now is so bad. Like McIntosh, he did like he does or did a lot of the amateur fights, like Olympics. Not sure whether he still does, but he also did the World Boxing Super Series. A lot of those fights. All 4 belts proudly around one man's waist. Yep. But I always thought he was a decent commentator, like a blow-by-blow commentator. I thought he was pretty good, to be honest. Bro, yeah, the David Hayes segment, that was so fucking funny. Oh my God. Steve Bunce is hilarious. I reckon if you get Steve Bunce at a pub, get a couple of pints down him, he'd be fucking so funny. And he'd sneak into the toilets to do a little cheeky line of Charlie as well. He would. And he'll come out fucking motoring. Eminem, man. Yeah, Eminem is... I'm tired of talking about like the whole politics thing, to be honest, but he is... We know what side of the coin he's on, basically, Utter degenerate. Like, just a scumbag. Look at his beady ass eyes, man. Looks like a rodent. Something very off about that guy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not that he's pure soy, Rolf. It's not even that. Don't get me wrong, that's true. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you in the slightest. But I think there's, again, I know it comes across like really fucking hippie and low-key fucking gay, but I'm an energy person. And there's something about that guy. He's up to some mad shit. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets exposed at some point in time for some mad shit, put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised. You're just looking at the guy's eyes like there's nothing there anymore. Very, very sinister character. in my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But for me, very sinister character. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's something definitely off about him. Definitely an industry plant. Yeah, it's he's a strange guy. He's a strange guy. I think a lot of these guys are plants. Nordic. I think a lot of these guys are plants. I don't think. Listen, I don't think every fucking famous person is a plant, but certain people know their role and they know what side they know where their bread is buttered, and certain guys they will play the role, and certain guys are useful idiots. I believe that's the case. Yeah, I can see how the establishment would find him useful. Yeah, it's all these like rebellious types who they'll start their career as like these rebellious acts, or these musicians like Rage Against the Machines. All these guys cucked out to like Big Pharma when it mattered, and it's crazy. Like, you got a feeling Bakole might dive tonight? Possibly. I hope not. Eminem's friend Proof had an uncle famous in the industry, but Eminem was just waiting for his time. These famous people always have a sob story about their upbringing, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. But there's very few authentic people in those industries. Very few. There's a couple here and there. Like maybe a guy like Mel Gibson, possibly. But I'm struggling to think. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100% Nordic. Yeah, Bakole definitely has quit in him. But I'm not convinced by Anderson either, cop end. I'm not convinced by Anderson. I mean, he said some very questionable things. About not being fully invested in boxing. Some of the signs in the Charles Martin fight, in my opinion, were a little concerning. See you later, Rolf. Have a good one, man. Hopefully you have a good one. Good shift. It's like Central C. I think he's an industry plant. Music influences people, and these music industries want to pump out music. Yeah, that turns people's heads into mush. Yeah. Yeah, that Central C guy, he's another one. It's one of those people who, sometimes though, I don't mean this literally, but the whole reptilian thing, where some people have a look to them where like it's almost like there's nothing in there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He's another one of those guys. I don't even know the guy's music, but I've seen him I've seen him like online. This Central C guy. He's another guy who looks like fucking reptilian. Would double jabs be useful in a street fight? Yeah. Because more than likely, like in a street fight, the person you're fighting is probably doesn't know how to fight, so it's going to offset them, and it's going to give you the chance to possibly land a straight right or straight left, whatever you are. If you get in a street fight, I think that's a main rule, because most people can't fight; they just swing. I think the main rule really is to try to like understand your distance and keep the guy at arm's length and keep him on the end of straight punches. That'll end the street fight pretty quick. Because most guys in street fights, if you watch like online fights, like just random street fights, Look at the technique on most of these people. That are swinging hammer punches, like wide looping hammer punches. If you keep punches straight in those sort of moments, then you're more than likely going to land first. Soulless, yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Yeah, 100%, Ren, 100%. Yeah, Ed Sheeran, yeah, bro, Ed Sheeran. Yeah, his music is awful. Absolutely awful. I saw the video. Nordic told me about this video a long time ago. What is it called? Mike Tyson Industry Hoax or something? It's a very interesting video. Something along those lines. I forget who did the channel. I forget what channel did the video. He might be. Ed Sheeran. Early life. It's all in the early life section, usually. According to his early life section, no. But that doesn't always tell you the full story. Okay, the channel's called Industry Hoax Revealed. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting channel. He did a video about because Nordic. I was watching the Nordic stream. I think it was your stream, and he talked about the OJ Simpson thing as well. Problem is, man, there's no space for that type of content anymore. Yeah, that's it. Who was homeless? Ed Sheeran. Am I thinking about someone else? Yeah. Anytime I go back and watch Ali, I just don't find him as impressive as everyone else. But Ali is a very sensitive topic for people because he was bigger than boxing. He stood for something. And if you criticize him as a boxer, people get offended. Yeah, 100%. Carl Froch, I think, said that very early in his career. And I think that's kind of ironic coming from Carl Froch, considering his style. But he basically said, this was very early in his career, that Muhammad Ali did a lot technically wrong, which is true. But I think it was because it came from Carl Froch. I doubt Ed Sheeran was homeless, I'll be honest. I doubt he was homeless. To be honest. He is at 168, Calzaghe. Underrated, overrated, because because his career was before social media, people are so divided on him nowadays. I think people were always divided on Joe Calzaghe, to be honest. I think Calzaghe's always been kind of like it's always been a divisive one with Joe Calzaghe. I think he gets overlooked personally. I think he gets overlooked. I think sometimes people go a little overboard on like the fantasy fight thing, but Calzaghe is in the conversation for the greatest 168 pounder of all time. In fact, he should be considered it. I think a lot of it is because a lot of people didn't really know the super middleweight division. I think that was a big problem. Yeah, Calzaghe beat some good fighters, man. He beat some good fighters. So, for example, I'm talking about guys like Charles Brewer, people like that. Like Charles Brewer was a good fighter, like Byron Mitchell, people like that. They were like top 68 pounders back in the day. And obviously guys like Sakio Bika, Lacey, Kessler, Eubank. I know Eubank was older, but he beat Eubank so decisively. And it was the same Eubank who nearly beat Carl Thompson in the next fight, the next year. I think it was the next year. He nearly beat Carl Thompson at cruiserweight. So when people say Chris Eubank was shot when he fought Calzaghe, he wasn't shot. He wasn't a shot fighter. He was past his best, yeah, but he wasn't shot. Like Calzaghe would have always beaten Eubank. Yeah, Brewer was a good fighter. Charles Brewer was a decent fighter. I'm not saying Calzaghe's resume is the strongest even, but people go overboard with how bad it is, and those same people will say like, "Oh, Wilder's a great champion." Like even a guy like Robin Reed. Like Robin Reed was a damn good fighter back in the day. He was fucking awkward. He was dirty. He was a hard puncher. Robin Reed wasn't a bad fighter at all. At all. He did avoid a lot. Yeah, he did avoid a lot of top guys. Oh, police are going by. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is a great point as well. When people say, "Oh, Eubank was past his best, he was this," he was past his best, but like I said, he wasn't shot. But Calzaghe wasn't at his best either. People forget that. Like people totally ignore that. What's a better win? This is a great question. Joe Calzaghe beating Lacey or Carl Froch smashing up Butte? That's a great question. I think Butte. See, I never rated Butte like a lot of people did back then. A lot of people rated Butte highly. I thought he was a good fighter, but I always saw him as like an on-top fighter. Like even prior to Carl Froch, I know it's easy to say, but like the Andrade fight, for example, I always felt he was a bit of a little bit overrated, Butte. But obviously Jeff Lacey was. I don't know. I'd probably say Butte was a better fighter. Yeah, in America, if you don't fight an American, it doesn't count. And if you don't fight in the USA, it doesn't count. Yeah, pretty much. I think that mindset is starting to shift though slightly among like regular boxing fans who follow the sport for what it is. Butte is better than Lacey, to be fair, but that fight is questionable for several reasons. Yeah, my gloves are heavy. Yeah, you need to Nordic. I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to make a Carl Froch career retrospective, but include like the questionable shit. And you can like have some like clickbait title, road warrior or fucking cheat. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, have a Carl Froch career review. That would be a good fucking video. I kind of want to see it. I want to see it. You'd be like proper. I think it'll be hard for you to make because I know how much you hate Carl Froch. But that'd be a great video. That'd be a great video. See, I'd love to do. I love those style of videos. I really do. When it comes to boxing, because you're kind of like the only person who does it in that format. But I'd love to try it as well, but it's just fucking copyright. I can't be dealing with it. Julian Jackson knocks out Munguia. Yeah, Lacey was much tougher than Bute, yeah, but Bute was a much better fighter. One thing I remember about Bute was the uppercut to the body. That was a wicked shot. His uppercut to the body was nice. No. He might do now, bro. He might do now. He's got a YouTube channel. So let's say you make the video. You make the video and it blows up. He might respond because he's got a YouTube channel now, right? And he might respond. And that's when Nordic challenges him to a fight on a big pay-per-view blockbuster at Wembley Stadium. Yeah, that was kind of... I don't even like Joshua, but yeah, leaking DMs is a bit snaky. Like, leaking like private messages is snaky. I don't care who's involved. It's snaky. Yeah, if you get... Bro, if that video gets... I swear your last video on Froch got traction. I swear it did. I'm going to try and find it. Yeah, match fixing scandal exposed. That got good views. Even like the Glovegate one got good views. Somebody re-uploaded your video, by the way, Nordic. Maybe we can get around 90,000. Yeah, we should all push it in the boxing community. People who follow Nordic, who have channels, should all share it. Bro, he could respond. He could respond. Yeah, Nordic's got a channel. This is a hilarious comment, by the way. I'm looking at the comments just to see how many like normies there are like completely dismissing it. And I'm not even saying it's true, but like you put some compelling arguments across. This guy's comment's hilarious. I'm not accusing anyone either, but I saw Carl Froch driving home after that fight, and he still had the gloves on. But yeah, Nordic's got a good channel, man. I feel like Nordic's in the same position I am. I'm just kind of... I've been struggling with motivation for boxing. I kind of want to get back into it. And really, I keep on saying this as well and change things up. But it's kind of hard, man. It's kind of hard. Yeah, if Nordic and Froch started beefing, you know Triple B would be straight in their facts. Oh, God. I only planned, when I started streaming, I only planned on going for like 90 minutes. With the whole boxing thing as well, I'd also like to get like some like-minded channels and collaborate a bit more, like we used to do back in the day. So I miss those old school days, like when we'd be on streams and shit. Funniest one, I heard after his nose surgery, he's coming back as a lightweight. Bro. Yeah, I kind of want to rewatch those. I might rewatch those videos once I get done. Tell you what, man, these streaming sites, man. I always find a streaming site to watch like football or boxing or whatever, and they get taken down so fucking quickly, man. I think I found one. Just type in Nordic Warrior Carl Froch on YouTube and you'll find them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100% Nordic. Because I do kind of want to do more interactive stuff again. It's been so long. Like I've jumped on a couple of panels here and there. Sorry for that bottle smashing sound, but there's a pub light across the road from me, and every now and then you hear them fucking chucking bottles in the bin. It's fucking annoying. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Yeah, if we can get a bunch of channels and organize a structured collab, yeah. I don't really know who's out there though these days, Nordic man. I really don't. Yeah, the pop-ups piss me off. Yeah, yeah. Lucy lives 2 miles away. Come and meet her. It's like fuck off. I'm trying to watch boxing. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And if only Lucy existed, right? We all need a Lucy in our lives. Fucking shit bag. Okay. Right, guys. I need to wrap it up. I've been going for nearly 4 hours, well, 3.5 hours, close enough. I need to make some food. I'm still debating either burgers, it's either burger, egg, and chips, or just like loads of chicken wings. Sexy Russian girls in your area want to meet. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Bro, I wish. I wish. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. I need to make a decision on food. We're feeling, I'm kind of feeling the burgers. I'm not gonna lie. Beer and wings, yeah, that's a shout as well, though. Yeah, it's a good shout. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. Have a great one. Peace out. Enjoy the boxing. Catch you on the next one. Peace.